afternoon, football fans, and welcome to day number 6 of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC week number 2, or day number 2, AFC North Day, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go, y'all. One of my absolute favorite divisions in all of football. You're going to hear me say this many times in today's show because, well, it's true. This is the division where you got to play defense on offense because of how nasty defenses really are and how hard-hitting this offense really is. Because seriously, when all these teams aren't even that good, but they're still hard-hitting. And the rivalries are so real because they just seriously do not stand each other. That is good football. Okay, so with that said, y'all, we got so much to get into today. Talking about this AFC North. My goodness, you guys. This is exciting for me. We have, for the first time, honestly, no, I think we might have had it already, but at least I know for sure today, we have 4 people, because one of them just may be involved by Sports Radio very soon. But 3 of them are involved by Sports Radio. One is really maybe soon to be working with us as well doing the show here. But we'll be starting lanes off. We're starting off Bengals football with our very own Christopher Lehman of The Extra Mile. Talking about why Bengals offensive line. I even looked at it, and actually they're not as bad as I thought they were. Why this offensive line really, be escalated towards helping this offense be a little bit stronger than we thought they were. We'll be talking to Mr. Andrew Hagenbach of the State of Ohio Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, as well as talking to people show about his Browns and them possibly doing their dominant this year. We'll be talking to Mr. Ben Matello of the Injury Report here on IE Sports Radio about his Steelers, their fall from grace, and, well, what could be a special season for them. And Mr. Scott Scholl, a prospective shows for our DMV show, talking about his Ravens and why they are something to watch out for this season. You are tuned in live to 3 and Out, right here on IE Sports Radio, your directory for all that is sports. Welcome, football fans. Well, here we are. This is day number 6 of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. My goodness, you guys. I mean, we're just rolling along. I can't believe we actually have 2 more days to go after this. It's crazy, but every year, this is such a special series, and we always have so much fun doing it. I really do. And everybody who joins me, usually always says they have a great time, so I'm really happy for that, and just glad that everybody is able to be a part of it, tune in, and it's awesome, guys. So I'm just showing some gratitude, and a big thank you for everybody who's tuned in the chat room, where everyone's just, been a part of the show. It's a 2-week series that definitely does take a lot out of me, not like literally like energy-wise, but it takes a little bit away. I felt horrible this past weekend. Even though she definitely got some really good rest, but, spend a little bit of time waiting for my fiance to record some of these interviews. Of course, I did make plenty of time for that, family time, but it's usually a lot, you guys, putting all these interviews together and everything, but you know what? It's all good. Totally worth it because we have a great time here, and this is just a great way to get the season started. So, but she's awesome. She definitely, she's cheering us on here, so it's great. And like I said, we got to get on our show. I know we have been absent on the Sports Club Perspective for like almost a month, like 3 weeks. We have to get back on this Friday. Our apologies, you guys, but definitely. Just a lot getting these shows set up, and man, sometimes it is just nice not being on air. But with that said, you guys, we got so much to talk about today and to get through. It's just a lot. But man, the AFC North. Taryn has it absolutely right in the chat room. By the way, thanks again, Taryn, for tuning in today, brother. The AFC North equals the strongest division in the AFC. Close second to the NFC West for the strongest division in the NFL. I definitely agree, man. These defenses are nasty. I love these defenses. And some of these offenses are pretty strong, too. I feel like almost all of these offenses are a few pieces. Actually, all of these offenses are a few pieces away from being a pretty solid team. The Bengals being the newest to the party for that one, but my goodness, they are so close to being solid. I mean, maybe one or two more really solid offensive linemen, and gosh dang it, the Bengals actually look like they're pretty legit on offense. They really do. Their defense is actually pretty good. The Steelers, always classically strong defense. Last year they went 11-0 before they fell apart, but this could show you how strong this team really is. And Tomlin, of course, is being only the third coach of the Steelers in their entire franchise history. It's incredible, or at least I think, okay. That's only been since the NFL, since 1960, the merger and said in 69. But regardless, I'm just saying, the Steelers been around a lot longer than that, but I don't know. I've had three coaches for longer than that. Regardless, all I know is this is the best. This division is such a great division, and I love watching it every single year. I'm a Raider fan, and I cannot stand the Steelers for obvious reasons, but I don't care. It's great football. So, big ups to everybody once again in the chat room. Gina G popping in, saying she's doing her hair, but she's listening. So, thank you for tuning in, Gina G. And yeah, Taryn, our apologies. Taryn says here, Fridays aren't the same without you. It was quiet. Being the only show, being the only show last Friday with SoCal Spring Sports Show. Yeah, my apologies, Taryn. By the way, big ups to Taryn, y'all, celebrating his 100th episode of Set Point here last night. Big ups to you, brother. Awesome stuff, man, and keep it going. Great volleyball show, guys. You want great volleyball every Monday evening, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Catch Taryn, I'll do guys, man. Just great stuff there. And of course, on Fridays, the SoCal Spring Sports Show, usually right before our show, Studies on my show, and catch that also at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, the SoCal Spring Sports Show with Taryn Rodriguez. It's great stuff all the way around. But with that said, you guys, once again, Cecilia and I will be back at it Friday. Oh my gosh, these podcast weeks have been crazy, so our apologies, but we'll get back on it soon. So with that said, you guys, we are talking AFC North today. You know the point. You know how it goes. Jump on over to IE Sports Radio on Twitter. Cast your vote for who you think is going to win the division this year. Also, you can scroll on, going over to 3 and Out on that Twitter account. Of course, that's at 3 and Out, all spelled out, IESR, all together, one word. And scroll down and vote. Coming up today, that is, not scroll down, but for your best trash talking segment, of course, ticket to them. That'll be up at the end of the show. But as of right now, man, there's been 20 votes so far, and man, 60% of you are already taking the Browns. That says a lot. 20% of you are taking the Steelers, and 10% of you each. So we got two 10% for the Bengals and for the Ravens. So, okay, let's see who you guys, go ahead and jump on that Twitter account. We need more votes. Let us know, you guys, who you think is going to win this division this year. And once again, it's more praise to Taryn. Gina, go ahead and she comments here in the chat room saying that Taryn's 100th episode was awesome on Set Point. And yes, Taryn definitely states here that I needed to go all out yesterday, and I'm glad everything went well without a hitch, and it definitely did, man. I got to catch the replay. I heard story time with Taryn, of course. Awesome story there, man, and definitely, glad to have you on the team, brother. As well as you, Gina, and everybody listening. As a listener or a part of the team, you guys are awesome. So, with that said, y'all, let's jump on into this, into today's show. One more comment from Gina. She says, I chose the Browns. I think Odell Beckham Jr. is coming back stronger than ever. Yeah, the Browns are definitely a team to look out for. So with that said, you guys, let's jump right on into the action and get things started, y'all. AFC North day number 6 of 8 divisions in 8 days. Finished up with the AFC South yesterday. Today's the AFC North. Tomorrow's the AFC West. And on Thursday, we got the AFC East, and it is all said and done, my friends. So with that said, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right into the first interview, talking Cincinnati Bengals with our very own Christopher Lehman of The Extra Mile, which you can catch every Thursday, by the way, talking all auto sports, with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Michael Ward. He's in the chat room. Christopher Lehman is in the chat room, ready to rock and roll. Fiji Sims himself in the chat room, saying "Who Dey, baby." So who day? That's right, y'all. Who Dey? The Who Dey Nation standing up, y'all, doing their dang thing with the Bengals. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump on into that first interview. This is a funny interview, not funny, but fun one, because Chris, the hard worker he is, got called into work and was actually working while doing the interview. So you're going to hear him and some talks with people that he was working with during this time. So good stuff there. But with that said, we got some great interviews. The Steelers interview was a little bit, the Ravens interview was a little bit choppy with Scott at the end, the final one. I don't know. I think it was the decibels on the computer were a little high. Him and I were talking pretty loud. I don't know. Weird. So it's a little choppy, but hey, it still sounds pretty legit, and we're good. So it still sounds good. With that said, you guys, let's go ahead and take our first break and get on into the interview for today. I will see you guys in a couple of hours, give you my final weigh-in. You are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, day number 6. AFC week, day number 2, talking AFC North, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Lentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, here we go. Day number 2 of 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. Right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. AFC North Day. We are definitely looking forward to talking about these 4 teams. As I said in the introduction, this is the division that is so defense-ridden, okay, that you must play defense on offense just to be relevant. So, yeah, what does that mean? You kind of got to be a tough, mean offensive player in order to even, once again, make your team relevant in this division. I love it. One of my all-time favorite divisions just because of how great these defenses really are. And, well, we're going to start things off talking with one of our very own here at IE Sports Radio, getting ready to talk Cincinnati Bengals. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome me in here back to 3 and Out for his first time since last year, since he took Andrew Hagenball, who's actually up next, talking about his Browns. Bringing him back here for his first time since his face-off last year versus Andrew Hagenball. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming. He is co-host of The Extra Mile here on IE Sports Radio. You can catch them on Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, along with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Michael Ward. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the one, the only, Mr. Christopher Lehman. What's going on? How you doing today, brother?
Hey, I'm doing great. As you know, got called into work, so it's all overtime to me, baby. No, I'm having a good time. It's noon, so it's been a good day so far. How are you doing, Larry?
Hey, bro, I'm doing my best, man. Thank you so much for making time to be able to be here today. So, as Christopher told me, ladies and gentlemen, this man is at work, and he's still making this work. So, once again, if that's not dedication, I don't know what is. So, yeah, so you'll probably hear him talking here and there to a few coworkers or people he's probably managing in the whole bit. So, we're going to make this quick and dirty. But, once again, thanks for making the time for us today, Chris. This is awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I love talking Cincinnati football. There's not a lot of people that'll do it in a good light, so I'm putting the city on my back.
Hey, and I'll tell you what, man, you definitely all the way from upstate New York, ladies and gentlemen. The man's not even in Cincinnati. He loves his team that much. He's far away.
Yeah.
So, with that said, okay, so go ahead and give us a little bit of last season. I know there's probably not a lot to talk about, but give us every emotion from last season as a Bengals fan.
So I just have you sign there. It was pretty tough. Especially in Washington. Unfortunate injury to Joe Burrow makes it really tough, and the season you just get deflated after that. I think is really the only way that you can put it, especially after such a rough couple of years. Deflated is just the best way to put it. Yep, you're welcome. You too. But I loved what I saw out of T. Higgins. I think there's definitely some sparks. And especially adding Jamar Chase, which was, as everybody in the IESR group chat knows, that was my guy going into this year. We got that LSU connection. People are calling them the LSU Bengals now. So I think the future's bright, but last year was definitely all of that, like, up and up. We got Joe Burrow. He's going to come in, change the franchise. That died in Washington for a lot of people, including myself. But there's a report that he threw the brace off in practice the other day. So love what I see out of Joe Burrow. He's a competitor.
He really is, man. And hey, from the Bayou Bengals to Cincinnati Bengals, both him and Jamar Chase are proud, and they're really looking to make this team what it used to be. I mean, do you remember? I mean, of course you remember, but my goodness, Chris, seeing those old Palmer to Ocho Cinco days when they were a relevant, strong team in the AFC. I mean, this was, about 10 years ago?
Yeah, so Ocho was drafted in 2000, either 2001 or 2003. I know it was an odd year. And, we had TJ Houshmandzadeh that year. And we had a good defense. Marvin Lewis, I don't want to say fresh off his Super Bowl with the Ravens, but it was, in the very, very distant past. And so the defense was something that people feared, and the offense with Chad and Carson was just great. And I think I give it another year or two, but I think we'll see a similar, really strong overall team coming in Cincy. And I'm going to poke at Drew, and you can tell him I said it, but I don't think the Browns are the most on the up and up in this division. I think it's someone else in Ohio.
Hey, I'm excited for what Drew has to say about that, because you guys definitely have a solid team. But as you know, I do have one thing to say, and I know you're probably sick and tired of hearing it, but Chris, I can't help it, man. I mean, Jace was a great addition, but how much faith do you really have in this offensive line? I want to know.
I think the general feeling outside of Cincinnati is much more downtrodden on our offensive line than people who are actually in Cincinnati, people who, know the team inside and out like only a true fan could.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us, we're actually not that worried because most of what you hear about this terrible offensive line was in the early part of the year. And coming in on the second half of the year, they really kind of got some things figured out. They were moving pieces around just about every game. There was a new offensive line combination starting. And towards the end, they really got it figured out. And then we add Riley Reef, guard in the draft. I would confuse it because I'm at work. Usually I'd have myself prepped and ready to go. But we added a couple pieces that I think are really, really optimistic about. So I think that the criticism on the Bengals line is fair, but I don't think the Bengals fans are hitting the panic button quite like the national media is.
And you know what? That's a great way of looking at it. Because honestly, even myself, I was thinking to myself, well, crap, shouldn't they? But it's true. We're going to take a look at this offensive line a little bit and these starters. But let's go ahead and move on now into free agency real quick, Chris. Because once again, we want to move along. I know you're a busy man at work and you got all kinds of stuff going on. But okay, so let's take a look at some of the key departures and key acquisitions from this last past offseason from overthecap.com. Once again, courtesy of overthecap.com, where I get my sources from here. So, Bengals, key departures. I think, if anything, the biggest departure in the world, which I think you guys may not be too bummed out about this because you definitely got a dang good receiver in the draft that I think a lot of you are going to say that, it's all right. We got somebody to take the reins. But A.J. Green heading on over to the Cardinals. Then we have here, moving over, Bobby Hart, right tackle, moving on over to the Bills. John Ross, of course, the fastest 40 ever. He will be heading on over to the Bills. Giovanni Bernard, I thought that was pretty big because the guy is actually a very good running back. Underrated, in my opinion, but he's off to the Buccaneers to go play with Brady. John Ross is off to the, Giovanni Bernard is off to, the Buccaneers. Then we have John Ross going over to the Giants. B.J. Finley going to the Steelers. Mackenzie Alexander, I thought that was huge because I really like this young man's story. He's a very good athlete, and it sucks to see him not be a Bengal, but he's going over to the Vikings, so could be a pretty good pickup there. So lots of big moves here, but I don't want to get into all of them. Xavier Williams was another one of them over to the Cardinals. Carl Lawson, edge rusher to the Jets, and Torrey McTire, I believe, over to the Washington football team. But so once again, I didn't get into every single one of them, but then you have some pretty good pickups. As you mentioned, Riley Reef from the Vikings coming on over. Pretty big pickup there. I like that. Also, Mike Hilton coming over from the Steelers at corner. Kevin Huber coming over from, Mike Hilton. Once again, coming over from the Steelers. I thought that was pretty big. Another corner there to add. You guys will add. This is huge to me, so I guess letting go of Alexander wasn't the hardest thing, but Awuzie, man, is a freaking beast. So coming over from Dallas, I thought that was huge. So really, man, there's some big ones. Joe Bakshi, I don't know what's his name, but coming over from the Eagles, and then Trent Taylor coming over from the Niners. So overall, man, there were some pretty big pickups and departures. What were your biggest pickups and departures, and why?
So the biggest departures, I think, was AJ and Geno. And Geno was a healthy scratch. He was just cut. It was a cap hit, unfortunately, and that's always the hardest way to see, someone who's anchored a team like Geno Atkins. It is tough to see them as purely dollars and cents. AJ, there was a little frustration towards the end, and, I wanted to see both of those guys retire a Bengal. AJ Green, when he came into the league, everyone's like, since he sucks, it's not that good of a place. And I think the reason that he won over the hearts of all the Bengals fans so quick was he said, my dream is I don't care who I play for, but I want to play every snap of my career for that team. And something like that, when you're, the number 4 overall pick, you go to a team that high for a reason. And
Mm-hmm.
so AJ was just the fan favorite that absolutely everybody loved. And I think his is going to be the toughest. I've got an AJ Green. I've got to hang it up in the man cave now. It was in my closet for game day, but for Christmas last year, I switched over to a Joe Burrow. So so AJ and Gino definitely the hardest. But in terms of pickups, I really like Mike Hilton. It's always a great thing when you can help yourself and hurt a rival at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anyone here that would say that they don't like hurting their rival in terms of personnel and taking what was theirs. But Riley Reef is definitely a solid veteran on the line that I think we need, especially as, we try to transition and figure out what the next 5 years looks like on the offensive line. So I would say that, those two, AJ and Gino, were the hard departures to see, but Mike Hilton and Riley Reef are the additions that I think are going to be the most impactful right away.
I think so as well. Very good athletes, and I'm really there you go. I mean, if anybody wants to complain about the offensive line, I didn't even notice that Reef was going over there. So hey, man, I mean, sometimes this is a spark. I mean, I have no idea. We're going to take a look at the offensive line right now, but let's move into the draft real quick, man. So, courtesy here of I don't even know what this is. Oh, Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports. Looks like we have here, or on NBC that is. So Jamar Chase, of course, being the elephant in the room. I mean, a major pickup. We got Joe Burrow's, ex-receiver now come, once again, actual receiver, probably his primary target, or primary receiver, coming out of LSU. Jackson Carman, amazing offensive lineman, coming out of Clemson, actually. So another big-time offensive line. So this is actually starting to turn my head a little bit about the offensive line. I did not know you guys got him. Clemson, of course, national champs a couple years back. Amazing program. I love what Dabo Swinney is doing over there. So a really, really, really good player I think you guys picked up here. Joseph Osai, I don't butcher his name, but defensive end, Texas. Cameron Sample, DN of Tulane. So you guys are getting some pass rush. And then it just goes on, of course. Tyler Shelvin, defensive tackle out of LSU. I'm not going to get into everybody, but you guys had a pretty, at least what it looks like here, a pretty solid draft. You would pick up another player here, Deontay Smith, offensive tackle out of ECU. So, you guys are trying to add some beef to the offensive line and everything. So I want to know, man, give me some thoughts on your guys' draft. And, of course, if you can, give us a grade.
Yeah, so can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry, I'm outside. I was watching the draft very anxiously, and I think that, whenever you go into a draft, all you want to do is say, my team improved. And I know that the national media likes pointing and saying, who did best, and they'll break down divisions. Like, oh, the Steelers got to be, the Bengals got to see, the Ravens, whatever, they like pitting each other against each other. But what I care about is what happened to the Bengals. I don't care about the Steelers. I don't care about the Ravens. And the Bengals, I think, did a fantastic job in this draft. They knew what they needed, where they valued their guys. And one of the reasons that the Bengals went through that stretch of a couple of years where they were just getting great picks was because they just went best player available, every opportunity they could. Are you for Samson? Where are you at? This truck right here? Okay. Give me just a second, but yeah. Sorry about this. 1 second, Barry.
No problem. As we mentioned, everybody, Christopher Lehman's at work right now, making things happen, and the guy's just talented. What can we say? Multitasking at its best. So you're good, Chris.
Okay. Yeah, give me just 2 seconds here.
No problem. I will go ahead and pull up this depth chart and get things going. Let's go ahead and take a look here. And all right, depth chart is pulled up, and we're ready to roll when you are, Chris. So,
all right. So the pitch got wet wheat in it. So just give me, I need probably 5 to 10 minutes to get that cleared out. I'll give you guys the go ahead because you've been coming in dry and low volume. So I'll come out and let you guys know when you're all set. Okay. All right. So I'll just have you some time.
Alrighty, so while you are taking care of business, I do want to go ahead and talk to the listeners here about this depth chart real quick. We'll get to that final grade for the draft for you right now, but overall, I mean, Joe Burrow, Mixon is still there. Samaje Perine is in that backfield still. Wide receivers, not too bad. T. Higgins looking strong, of course. Tyler Boyd still there. Of course, adding Jamar Chase is huge. Drew Sample.
I'm back.
And
just so you know.
Okay, cool, awesome. Well, I was getting ready to. I was just going over the depth chart real fast and getting ready to get set up that final segment. But so final grade on that draft. What do you think, Chris, and why?
I loved it. I watched every round. I'm always the type of fan though that I watch the draft through no matter what. We picked fifth or sixth, I can't remember, but I watch all 32 picks every year, with the exception of when the Patriots lost a pick and we only had 31 in the first.
Oh yeah.
I have feelings about that, and they were strongly deserved. But yeah, I love draft season. I don't think that there's a football diehard that doesn't love draft season. And I think the Bengals did a fantastic job this year. When you forget the comparison game, like I was saying, the national media likes doing, if you look at just an individual roster, and I don't care what team it is, there's not one team that goes to the NFL draft and comes away worse than they went into it.
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you, sir? Okay. Nope. So this side's closed. They're trying to get that cleaned up around that bin. So everything's going through on the side. Yep. Yep. Same exact procedure. It's just on the other side. Okay. Thank you. Yep. You're welcome. Sorry about that.
You're good to go.
I have so for everybody listening. So my old job was doing shipping and receiving for a large grain elevator, and this past winter I took a promotion, so I do all the logistics coordination for our trucking company. But we had an issue. I got called in because I know how to run the scales and do all this. So that's why people are in and out, and because I've got probably about 25 trucks here. You're all set in ultimate pass. So yep. Yes. Yep. 0.06. Yep.
Hey, what's the deal? You put down down?
No, it's just going over here. They got the grain back on the south side.
Oh.
Yep. So they'll go on the big pit.
Oh.
No. So nobody goes into the draft and comes away worse than they went in, and it's just something that the national media does to sell papers and get clicks, is try to do comparative analytics and say, did your team win? And I think the real question is your team better? Is your team better on Sunday than you went into it on Thursday? And the answer is always yes. There's no such thing as a team coming out of the draft in a worse spot than they went in.
I like that, man. I like it. So definitely. So you want to throw a grade on there, or do you think we're just better than we were? What do you think?
Sorry, I didn't catch you. What's that?
So do you want to throw a grade on there, or do you just want to say we're better than when we came in?
I'm good with we're better than we came in. We have arguably over the next probably 2 years, once T. Higgins and Jamar Chase develop, I think we're going to have and Tyler Boyd. You can't forget about a top-notch slot. I think we'll have the best receiver corps in the league. I think Joe Burrow is going to continue to develop into a franchise. I mean, he's already a franchise QB, but I think he's going to go into that elite status where he's, a top 5 QB in the league for a long time. And Joe Mixon, you got a very solid running back. He's led the league in yards over the last half of the season 2 years ago. He's shown a lot of potential. He produces results. And once they get that offensive line and Joe Burrow some time, I think you're looking at a very scary offense in about probably two full seasons' time.
I love it, man. And so you're jumping ahead a little bit. Perfect segue, though, man. So I was taking a look at the depth chart earlier, of course. Burrow, Mixon, Boyd, Chase, Higgins, Sample. Then you get into the offensive line. We talked about Jonah Williams, pretty solid, actually. I did not know you guys had Xavier Su'a-Filo. He's actually he came out of UCLA a couple years ago. I'm a Pac-12 guy, so I know who he is. He's pretty legit. Tyler Hopkins, not sure who that is. Jackson Cameron, you guys brought him in. So let's take a look at Hopkins real fast. Hopkins. Center out of Texas. Okay, so he's been in for a little bit, but okay. Jackson Carman, of course. We saw you guys just go ahead and pick him up recently. Pretty legit pick out of Clemson. And then Riley Reef. So honestly, this offensive line is much better than I thought they were. So good stuff there. Then look at the defense side of the ball, man. Classic 4-3 defense. Hubbard, Rader, Ogunjobi, of course. Hendrickson, pretty solid. You have your linebackers, Wilson, Pratt, Davis Gaither, good stuff. And then your secondary, Awuzie, I think is amazing to that. Von Bell, of course, Trey Wayans, and Jesse Bates II. Of course, overall, this is a pretty solid defense. You guys usually do have pretty solid defenses, but the offense is actually looking pretty good. So out of everybody I just named right now in your depth chart, let's close it off with this, man. What are you looking for? Roles. What do you think right now? What certain players do you think playing what roles this year, and who do you think is going to, or what do you think right now your team is going to do heading into the season? What are you looking forward to this season?
I think if you ask any Bengals fan, what we're going to say is we want to see the continued development of really everybody. To be honest, it's when you have a young franchise QB come in Joe Burrow, no one, with few exceptions, is thinking these guys are going to the Super Bowl, they're going to make a deep playoff run. That type of stuff happens, but it doesn't happen very often, especially when you're the number 1 overall QB. I would be curious to see what the statistic is on the number 1 overall. Going on a deep playoff run, I doubt there's many, just because of the fact that number 1 is picked number 1 for a reason, like I said in the draft segment. This could open up a whole nother can of worms, Larry, but I think as far as the quality of player goes, I think we have great starters, good depth. I think that there's a hurdle in Cincinnati that everybody has known about for a long time, but I think the coaching is really a problem in Cincinnati, and it started a long time ago, back in the 80s. When our heir apparent head coach took us down in the Super Bowl a couple times. I think that's something that has just lived on in Cincinnati for decades now. Zach Taylor was supposed to be the coach of the future, and I don't know. I don't love the coaching, Larry. I don't think I think that's the biggest limiting factor we have going forward. And like I said, that's a whole other can of worms we don't have to get into. But I think that's how a good portion of Bengals fans feels, is that it's a little more coaching and scheme than it is player.
That says a lot, and seriously, man, that's amazing. That's pretty awesome that you want to, if anything, the players are your positive, which is great. And so, yeah, hopefully coaching will get fixed up there. But last but not least, Chris, this is always a fun segment, man, and you get to light into the rest of the AFC North as a true diehard fan would. So, with that said, Chris, final segment here of the show, or of this final segment of this segment, and, you get to go ahead and express your feelings about these other 3 teams in the AFC North, and of course, then talk about how you think they're going to do this season. But once again, don't hold back any emotion. If you'd like, you can be respectful. You can be nasty. You can be mean. However you want to be, man, or a mixture of both. It is your time, Chris, to stick it to them.
So I'll start off with the Steelers, and I have nothing to say. No, I'm kidding. The Steelers, I think that they are trending downwards. I think they will continue to trend downwards. They are on a slow and inevitable death. I think Juju is a problem for them and everybody else on TikTok. One of their linebackers, I forget who, has been doing some of the most messed up stuff on Twitter lately, trying to get traded. So as far as the Steelers go, I think you are number 3 or 4 in the division next year, and for a long time to come. I think your reign is coming to an end. Ravens, Lamar isn't a quarterback. Sorry, I had to say it. Solid team other than that, though. I mean, Lamar's good, but I think he's not built to be in the league long term. He's kind of, I would chalk it up to like a RG3. You're going to wow the league for a couple of years, but in 5 years, we're going to say, what the hell happened to that guy? And see him on a 30 for 30 special about how he's flipping burgers or something. And then the Browns, I think, even as a Bengals fan, I've always felt bad for the Browns for the longest time because that city and that franchise, like, I'm so thankful to not be a fan of that. And I tell Drew all the time, I'm so sorry, but as a Bengals fan, I guess he can say the exact same thing about me, so we'll call it even. But I think over the next 5 to 10 years, I think it's going to be the Bengals and the Browns running the AFC North. I think it'll trade off year after year. I don't think there's going to be one with a dominant streak run. I think it'll be pretty well traded off, but the Steelers and the Ravens over the next 5 years will trend downwards, and the Bengals and the Browns are going to go right up, and they're going to trade punches for 1 and 2 year after year. It'll be exciting.
Man, wouldn't that be something, how they changed the tides? It was Steelers and Ravens in the last 10 years, and now that'd be cool, Bengals and Browns. Well, with that said, Chris, I know you're a busy man. You got some work to do, man. You got plenty to get to today, but thanks again for being here, man. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Lehman. Dude, you're the man. Thank you so much for being here during work, man, and just letting some of your time to us. Last but not least, man, let all these diehard Bengals fans know where to find you, man.
So I am only on Twitter. That's the only place that I do business. And my handle is at FijiSims, FIJISIMS. I'm part of the Bengals group chat on Twitter. There's 70 of us strong. It's a fun time, and follow everybody in that group. We're all over Twitter, and we make it known. So, and then also check me out on the Extra Mile. Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We talk NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, and most recently we picked up Daryl's H1 Unlimited hydroplane boat. Those things are incredible, and so we've kind of added them to the lineup as well. So that's my spiel, Larry.
Well, I'm glad to have had you. Thanks again for everything, Chris. Have you a wonderful rest of your day at work, man. I look forward to having you back in the show very soon, man. Thanks again.
Yep, have a good one, Larry.
You too. Take care. All righty, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mr. Christopher Lehman again. Awesome stuff, as always. Great guy. And that will be that. So, with that said, you guys, we are all finished up with the first interview of the AFC North here on AFC Week, day number 2, talking AFC North. When we get back, we're talking to the one and only Mr. Andrew Hagenball. That's right, y'all. We're talking Browns coming right up after this. Once again, you're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. AFC Week, day number 2, AFC North, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans, and well, as we just heard from Christopher Lehman, actually being pretty nice to the Browns, saying that the Browns will be, the Browns and the Bengals will be the two teams running the division for the next, he says for a while now. Totally stuck it to the Steelers and the Ravens, but what can I say? These two are Ohio fans. They're, of course, they're in the same area. When it comes to the other teams, they're not so nice. And I mean, they of course mean to each other too. It's a big rivalry, but kind of cool to see some camaraderie, even within one of the nastiest divisions in the NFL. So, ladies and gentlemen, next up we are talking team number 2. And as I just mentioned, great talking to Mr. Christopher Lehman. The man was at work right now. And still being able to be on today's show. You can hear him talking to people and and everything, but awesome stuff as always. And here we are today, team number 2 of AFC North Day, right here on 3 and Out AFC, 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC week, day number 2. Kind of funny because these interviews are recorded, as you guys heard all last week in NFC week. So this, of course, the interview you just heard with Christopher was recorded on Saturday, July 24th, and kind of funny, immediately following his interview, this is just like the actual show if it was actually live, well, these recordings were live, because Andrew, with the Browns, is immediately following him. Kind of funny because they do talk to each other a lot during, of course, I'm pretty sure they DM and talk and everything, of course, with their teams. Andrew is, of course, the host of the State of Ohio sports show here on IE Sports Radio, so, he does back up the Bengals to an extent, and all Cincinnati things. Of course, he's more of a Cleveland guy, but, he does talk plenty of Ohio sports. Looking forward to hearing that show coming back up next week. But, it's kind of cool. The first time they actually came into IE Sports Radio together, they were both on a primetime face-off last year, and, well, I invited them both to be a part of the network, and they both accepted. One of them going with Daryl and Michael, a part of the Extra Mile, and the other one just blossoming into his own shows, literally just taking his own shows by the reins, not just one but two, taking his own shows by the reins, of course, with the Soccer Scoreboard Show in the State of Ohio Sports. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, it is fun to talk about these guys back to back because, well, I just guess it couldn't be any other way, which is awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, welcoming once again, as I mentioned, he is host of the Soccer Scoreboard Show here on IE Sports Radio, every Sunday, 7 p.m., well, actually 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, catch me every Sunday, and of course, the host of the State of Ohio Sports, every Friday evening, of course, just, unless things come up, or, however, but, of course, the majority of it, Friday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, of course, 3 p.m. Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, he is our social media, one of our social media gurus here at IE Sports Radio, one of our social media coordinators, and the guy's just an all-around great guy, and we're so happy to have him here today. One of the biggest Browns fans you'll ever meet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming, of course, the one and the only, Mr. Andrew Hagenball. What's going on, Andrew? How you doing today, brother?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on here.
It is great to have you, and thank you so much for being here today, man.
Oh, of course. Anytime you give me a chance to talk to Browns, I am willing to talk Browns.
Well, let's talk some Browns, man. So let's do the dang thing, because I know you're raring and ready to go, man. So first things first, man. I'm just really excited for these Browns this year. We have had so many years of just the Browns jokes and the Browns memes, and like I said, I got a really good friend over here, total Bostonian, diehard Boston fan. And it's crazy because he even said it like, he always says it, how did the Browns manage to get all these first round draft picks like in the last freaking however many years, and they're still sorry? Like, it's incredible because people stick it to the Browns, but for the first time in, my goodness, I mean, I don't want to. I really don't want to go back this far to try and make a guy sound relevant, but at the same exact time, I mean, I guess it is what it is, but we have to go back to the Jim Brown days in the freaking 1960s when you guys were actually a team to be afraid of and a team to be like, oh, crap, that's going to be a hard game. Like, I hate to say it, but you guys were a pushover a lot of the time, kind of like my Raiders. You guys were a pushover for a long time, but recently in the last 2 seasons, you guys have remade that name, and seriously, you see the Browns in the schedule now, and you're like, oh crap! Like it looks like it's kind of like how it was in the '60s. I mean, I don't know if they're that dominant, but I'm just saying you guys are a pretty solid team now. So with that said, Drew, talk to us, man. Tell us all about last season, every emotion from last season, everything you can bring us, man. How was last season as a Browns fan?
Oh my God, it was everything more than we expected. I mean, the dream was just to make the playoffs, and even if we got knocked out first round, we were perfectly okay with that. We were just happy to have made the playoffs for the first time since '02, but the fact of the matter is we ended up winning our playoff game against Pittsburgh and winning the first playoff game since 1994. So 2 years before I was even born was the last time we even won the playoff game. and it's funny to say that, too, because it's like, it makes me feel so like, kind of old, but also kind of young at the same time, because I was born in the very beginning of '96, and the last time we won a playoff game was in the midst of '94. And
my goodness,
here we are 2 decades later, all over 2 decades later, and we won our first playoff game, and then we go to Kansas City, and we almost beat Kansas City in their own yard. Tears were shed no matter what. Like, even after the Kansas City game, like, there was just tears of happiness from me, from the entire city of Cleveland. I mean, if you told us we were going to go to Kansas City and lose by basically 2 points, we would have said, no, we're probably going to get smoked, and we're content with that. We're okay with that. But the fact of the matter, we had a chance to win. I would have laughed right in your face and said, there's no way we're beating Kansas City, or we're even going to come close. And, I mean, it was just fantastic. Just, like I said, emotions were everywhere, especially just throughout the season. Like, Kevin Stefanski and Baker just worked so well together. And, it reminds you of what Kevin Stefanski did with Kirk Cousins over in Minnesota and how good he made Minnesota just as an offensive coordinator. And he brought his teams to Cleveland, and I always told people Baker and Kirk Cousins are the exact same. They're play-action type quarterbacks, and with run-first running backs like Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb, I mean, it spells success, and that's why Minnesota's been successful for the last few years. And that's why you're going to see the Browns be so successful for a while now. It's because they have a great running back in Nick Chubb, and they have the play-action schemes of Kevin Stefanski with a play-action quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and we just saw that it worked.
I agree, man. You guys look good, and it's crazy to think of how much went into this. I mean, we're talking about a team that freaking left to Baltimore in 1996, and no Cleveland Browns for 3 years. You guys resurrected and became a franchise again in the 1999 season as the Browns, and I mean, my goodness, it's incredible to think of what you guys are, doing now. I mean, once again, you guys came back and were just a horrible team for, over the next almost 20 years. But almost 20 years because, I mean, here we are now, and you guys are actually pretty solid. So I guess you can say with 2019 season. But overall, man, or last year to the last 2 years, so like 19, 20 years, but you guys are at it, man. Or I guess you can say 18, 19 years or whatever. But regardless, pretty solid team. And we now see how dominant these Browns are, and I'm loving it. So let's take a look at these free agency pickups, man, and departures, courtesy of overthecap.com. So some of the biggest departures we can take a look at, of course, Terrence Mitchell heading on over to the Texans. I thought that was pretty crazy. We have here, let's see here. Let's see, Carl Joseph over to the Raiders. Let's see here. Who else do we got? So Kendall Lamb, tackle, going over to the Titans. Next up, a big one. This is going to a rival, Larry Ogunjobi. Ogunjobi is a freaking beast, so that was a tough one. Tawan Taylor heading over to the Texans. Also, Marvin Hall going to the Patriots. Vincent Taylor going over to the Texans. I mean, you guys lost a significant amount of players. George Obiena, I believe I'm sure his name, over to the Falcons. Tavera Thomas over to the Texans. And also Tay Davis over to the Texans. You guys lost some big-time players. But then again, you guys brought in some great talent. Jadeveon Clowney. A lot of people are skeptic on him because, I mean, from being the first-round draft pick as a defensive end, I mean, the guy has dwindled a little bit. And, of course, now everyone's just like, it is what it is. He was good, but he's just like, whatever. I want to know your thoughts on him. Also, I'm sorry, Sheldon Richardson going over to the Vikings. That was another tough loss. But then you guys pick up Malik Jackson. I mean, he'll probably be taking his place, but right there in the middle. You guys will bring in Troy Hill, corner. You guys will bring on, let's see here. What's going on? Okay, so next up, Damian Square. Actually, pretty good defensive lineman. You guys brought him over from the Chargers, so that was pretty good. John Johnson, safety from the Rams. That's another good pickup for you guys. Greg Sinat, left tackle from the Cowboys. Anthony Walker Jr., linebacker from the Colts. So overall, man, there were some pretty good pickups and but some big departures as well. So go ahead and talk about all of those, or whichever ones you want to talk about, and let us know, Drew. Tell us, man, who do you feel were your biggest pickups, and who are your biggest departures this last offseason?
So, for me personally, I think our biggest departure was Sheldon Richardson. He was very big for us on that defensive line, and even though he was kind of more or less underrated, and people didn't think, he really didn't do all that much. I mean, he still had a very big impact, especially too with Myles Garrett right next to him. He helped create spaces and holes for Garrett to get through, to make open field tackles, to get to the quarterback. So he played a very big role, and for him, because even though we put him off of, or we dropped him, there was still big news that we were going to re-sign him. We were just going to see what we were going to do after all of our major signings and stuff like that, to really be like, okay, how much money do we have now? Can we re-sign Sheldon Richardson again to bring him back to the defensive line, because we could really need him, we could really use him, and unfortunately, he ended up going back to Minnesota, where we originally got him from, and for me, that's a big loss because, like I said, he was a very big key for us on that defensive line. But obviously, we replaced that with Jadeveon Clowney, Tack McKinley. So we replaced him with a couple people, Malik Jackson as well. So, you lose one, we brought in a few. And as you can tell by what we did this offseason in the draft, it's more or less all but defense is who we got because that was our weaker side. And the biggest game that I had to say we got was John Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
As we all know, we had Anderson Dejo back in the safety slot last year, and he was just god awful. I mean, he let so many deep balls go down and so many touchdowns go off of the deep balls, and we said, okay, we can't have Anderson Dejo back there. Obviously, that's when we got Harrison to kind of basically replace Sendejo in the middle of the season, and he did an amazing job. I'm glad he's back with the team. And then the Browns are like, okay, let's make some moves. So when the NFL trade deadline happened and stuff like that, the Browns said, all right, let's go get John Johnson. And now you have a top 10 safety in the NFL to make sure that no more deep balls go back there and no more big-time touchdowns happen. And, I mean, for me, a lot of the big pickups are all on defense. Troy Hill and, like I said, Patrick Kinley, Malik Jackson, Anthony Walker. I mean, Anthony Walker has been getting so much high praise from his Colts team. Like, it just makes me so excited to have him here as well because that's another weak spot that we had over this last year or two was we really didn't have that many good linebackers. I mean, I like Wilson. I do like Sione Takitaki a lot, but they weren't really producing on much. Takitaki actually started coming alive at the end of the season last year and showing up, but for me, Anthony Walker is also a very, very big pickup for me because he really boosts that linebacker position a lot.
Absolutely, I love it. Your guys' free agency was pretty good, but yeah, John Johnson, man, that was huge. Seeing what seeing how well, he has come into his own as an athlete, and now just seeing him head on over to the Browns, man. I mean, you guys did lose a lot of great players, but my goodness, it's like you guys still look pretty dominant regardless. And of course, the draft. Let's get into the draft because freaking crap, man. This draft is pretty solid, at least I think. So I want to know your thoughts on this. So let's take a look here. So courtesy of Pro Football Talk, of course, .NBC Sports. We have here first round Greg Newsome II coming out of Northwestern. Solid freaking player. You guys needed some help in the secondary. You talked about all those deep balls, of course. I know Sendejo wasn't, I know he wasn't the whole entire thing, but of course, he was, a part of it. But regardless, the secondary was definitely a weak link of that defense. You guys are strengthening it up. John Johnson now, and this guy, Greg Newsome, my goodness, that looks solid. Okay, next up, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, don't butcher his name, but linebacker out of Notre Dame. We've seen Malcolm Smith. We've seen before. We've seen some pretty solid linebackers coming out of Notre Dame. And, well, he's another one of them. Anthony Schwartz, wide receiver out of Auburn. James Hudson, offensive tackle out of Cincinnati. Kind of funny because he's not going very far. He's going from a Bearcat to a Brown. So I'm very positive that the Bengals would have much rather have wanted to keep him there. But regardless, man, good stuff. I'm pretty sure as a diehard fan of the Ohio State, you guys got the big boy Tommy Togiai, don't butcher his name either, but defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Tony Fields, linebacker of West Virginia. Richard LeCount, I don't butcher his name either, but safety out of Georgia. And Demetric Felton, wide receiver out of UCLA. I don't know too much about him. Of course, I'm a Pac-12 guy, but, I didn't see a lot of him. But once again, last year was kind of weird watching this, trying to watch football and everything. But regardless, pretty good, in my opinion, pretty solid draft. I want to know all your thoughts about this draft, Andrew. Give us every little thought you can. And, of course, if you can, give us a final grade.
So I thought, because actually being at the NFL draft, number one, it was a phenomenal experience. Just being actually in Cleveland for the draft. And number two, like, the picks we made were, I couldn't ask for better picks. A lot of us were like, okay, if JOK falls to us in the first round, that's the pick. And then when we saw Greg Newsome, we were like, okay, we got a great corner from Northwestern. He's not a guy who gets a lot of interceptions, but he's a guy who reminds me of a lot of like Joe Hayden, who gets a lot of like batted balls down to the ground. He swats the ball away. He plays tight on his man, so you basically get kind of like a Joe Hayden-esque player out of him. You don't expect him to get interceptions. You just expect him to be tight on his man and swat the ball away when the ball comes his way. And then pick 52, like you said, we ended up getting JOK because he fell so hard because a lot of people thought his heart condition, they didn't know if he was going to be able to play or be able to be as effective. And the Browns were like, we're going to take a shot with him. We're going to get him. And JOK came out and said the doctor said he's in perfect health, that he can play full strength, he can be himself. And, you know, the Browns said we took a chance, we gambled, and we won that gamble. Like, he's good to go, he can play, and we're going to get the best of JOK, and he's going to help Anthony Walker and, you know, that linebacker position that we desperately needed so well. And he's a guy who can almost play safety as well, or not safety, but like corner safety, whatever you need him to. He can play it all. He's like an Isaiah Simmons almost. He can play pretty much anywhere on that defense. Anthony Schwartz, I mean, you have a speedster at wide receiver. I mean, just basically a guy who can drag a defender deep and open up the middle for guys like Landry or OBJ to run across the middle of the field to get open. From what I found out, he's actually faster than Tyreek Hill. You compare the 40-yarders. Anthony Schwartz ran a 4.25, to where Tyreek Hill ran like 4.29 or something. And I think Anthony Schwartz was like 1.1 second away from breaking Chris Johnson's 40-time record. So you got an absolute speedster, and like I said, he can just go insanely deep, drag a defender, or maybe just see past him, and he's just wide open downfield. You get James Hudson, obviously, you know, he can be a great backup because, you know, the Browns now are all about that offensive line. Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive line coaches in the game, and he's going to definitely help James Hudson out a lot. And as you can tell, the Browns not only building their defense, but still maintaining the offensive line to make sure Baker is very, very well protected. You go to the D tackle, Tommy Togiai from Ohio State. Loved watching him here at Ohio State. He was a phenomenal D tackle. I think he's going to fit right in perfectly with the Browns' defensive line. Tony Fields, again, another good, solid linebacker. He'll develop and learn from veterans like Anthony Walker and Malcolm Smith, so he can be very, very good in the next few seasons. Richard LeCount, again, just adding depth to the safety and to the secondary because one of our weaker positions last year, now that everyone is full health, that should be one of the most dangerous positions we have on the field. And then lastly, Demetric Felton, running back / pretty much wide receiver at this point. Like I said, he can do it all. He can catch, he can run. Just another basically Kareem Hunt. If things were to happen with us and Kareem Hunt, we were to get rid of him, you basically just added a second Kareem Hunt to that lineup. Overall, I mean, I don't care if this sounds biased to anybody, but it's an A+ for me because you look at the last 2 years, the Browns had insanely good drafts. And, I mean, the Browns, I believe in PFF, the Browns are the first team in 2 years to get A+ ratings from PFF in the last 2 years. So, for me, I'd have to agree with PFF, and I'd give this team an A+ for a phenomenal draft. Andrew Berry did another perfect job this year.
I thought so too, man. You guys look solid, man. Like, you seriously look solid. And I thought it was a good draft. I mean, I thought it was wonderful, and honestly, man, good stuff there. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on now into this depth chart and take a little bit of a look of what you think this team can do this season. So, of course, Mayfield leading the charge at quarterback. Chubb, freaking beast. Kareem right behind him. Odell Beckham right now. Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins. I mean, pretty solid wide receiving core. Austin Hooper, the guy has made a name for himself for sure. Janovich, actually, pretty good fullback, man. Really good to see that guy back. And then your offensive line, man. Willis, let's see, Batonio, let's see, Treader, Teller, Conklin. I mean, I don't know too much about these guys here, but I do know Jack Conklin. Overall, and we talk about the offensive line coming up here. And then defensively, my goodness, that classic 4-3, Myles Garrett, Andrew Billings, Malik Jackson, and now Jadeveon Clowney. That is pretty freaking solid. You have to have your backers. Owusu Kamoa, Waku, of course, the new addition. Taki's still back there, freaking beast, and Walker. And then this secondary, man, Denzel Ward, solid corner, Ronnie Harrison, of course, Ronnie Harrison Jr., John Johnson, and being added now, and Troy Hill. Don't forget Greg Newsome is in that mixture of where we're going to see him pop up and everything. So overall, man, you guys can even run that nickel, take out a backer and throw in, maybe John Johnson. Well, I don't know. Regardless, throw somebody in there. Maybe Newsome as a corner, as a nickel corner. I mean, I'm going to say there's a lot of variety here. I really like this defense. It looks pretty solid. Overall, man, what do you think? Tell us right now what you think this team is capable of doing this season, and what roles do you think some of these players can play coming up this season?
I mean, I think this is for me, at least a 12-5 team to a 13-4 team. I think we can win another game or two from last season, and I think this team is built to win now. I mean, you look at what everyone has been saying about us. We're one of the most complete teams in the NFL after building up this defense. I mean, they put us right there behind the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bucs. We're right there with them, and they said, "Hey, listen, this Browns team is nothing to mess with now. You can't sit there and just be like, okay, this is an easy win on their schedule anymore. This is, if you don't quiet yourself down, you're going to get smacked." And for me, I think the big key for this year is going to be that secondary. I mean, you still have Grant Delpit, Denzel Ward, you still have Greedy Williams, all who are now healthy, perfect 100%. And even with those guys 100%, you still have the depth of John Johnson, Troy Hill, Ronnie Harrison. I mean, that's just a lethal secondary. And the weakest point on our team last year, I mean, if we had that as a strength last year, I mean, I could see us making that AFC championship game. And here we are now. We have probably a top 5 secondary, even with added depth. Even if guys like Denzel Ward, Greedy, and Grant Delpit got hurt again, I mean, you still have Troy Hill, John Johnson, Ronnie Harrison. I mean, you still have an amazing, amazing secondary. So no matter who gets hurt, it's just another pretty much talented player, and pretty much you can almost say Pro Bowlers behind them. So you're basically replacing like a Pro Bowl caliber player with another Pro Bowl caliber player, and it's just crazy. So for me, the biggest key this year is, this secondary is going to be on fire, and our defensive line, like you said, we get Andrew Billings back from COVID because he skipped last year due to not wanting to play because of COVID, and so he is actually back and ready to go, and I can't wait to watch him. He's a big, scary dude, and I mean, this is just exciting for us Browns fans. We could talk about this all day. I could sit here and talk to you for 6 hours just of how excited I am about this squad.
Well, I'll tell you what, Andrew, you have every reason to be excited, man. This is a solid team. You have a bunch of solid players. I mean, what the Browns can do, I mean, my goodness. And I don't want to get too crazy here and get too ahead of myself or ourselves or whatever for the segment or for the season, but do you remember what it felt like when homegrown talent LeBron James helped earn the Cavaliers their first ever, and I think it was their first, or it might have been their first since a long time, but when he helped win that freaking NBA title a couple years back, the very first one.
Oh my God, it was the best thing in the world. I mean, I've never seen so many people pack downtown Cleveland in my entire life. And it was like you said, it was our very first NBA championship. And I mean, just that feeling, like he made a promise to us, like when he came back. I was at that ceremony over at the University of Akron, and he said, "Listen, I'm back, and I promise I will win this team a championship." And that was in 2014 when he came back. 2 years later, he delivered. He brought the team a championship. He brought the city one. And at this point, he went to LA, and we're like, you know what? He did his thing here. Go off to LA and go win a couple more. It was just the craziest feeling in the same year, too, the Indians almost winning the World Series right after that fall. Of course, we ended up blowing a 3-1 lead. But then again, too, we only had 3 starting pitchers the entire World Series. So after a while, your starting pitching gets kind of gassed when they have to go every other day. So
yeah, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
But man, like that whole year in 2016 was probably one of the best years in Cleveland because you almost had 2 championships back to back, and we just felt on top of the world, and we felt like, hey, Cleveland is a city of champions for once, since the Browns of 1964. So it felt good, and now we feel so good and confident about this Browns team that maybe within the next couple of years we'll have a Super Bowl parade for the Cleveland Browns.
And that's exactly where I was going. Is you remember though how it felt? So I'm just saying, seriously, man, these Browns don't. I'm not getting too hopeful because oh my gosh, it'd be awesome to see, but. My goodness, dude, I don't want to jinx anything, but oh my gosh, to think how it would be for the Browns to actually do this. You guys are not far. You guys look good. You guys look freaking good. So, with that said, Drew, this is your time, man. Of course, this is all your time. You talked about what your team could do this year and what you're expecting. So, let's go ahead and talk some freaking crap. You down for that, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm ready, dude.
Let's do this, man. So, as we always say in the introduction for this segment, man, this is always a fun segment because, well, there's 3 other teams in the division that you're not very fond of. Well, Andrew, tell us a little bit about what you think they're going to do this season, and, of course, tell us how you really feel about those other 3 teams. You could be nice and respectful, mean and nasty, or a combination of both. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, here it goes, y'all. Andrew, stick it to him.
Listen, I have to start off with the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, you guys can sit there and you keep trash talking. The one thing I got to say is we don't have a running back for a quarterback. When is this guy going to ever learn how to throw a pass, right? You guys keep signing wide receiver after wide receiver, and you just can't throw it to him. Do you think Sammy Watkins is going to be a big help? Do you think Rashad Bateman is going to be a big help? It's not going to be a help when, every other play is designed run for Lamar Jackson. Come on. If you actually teach the guys to throw a football, maybe you guys will be a lot more deadlier and you guys will stop losing in the first round of the playoffs every year. to the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, I can be here for hours and hours and hours. I've already trashed you guys on Twitter every single day. My goodness, you guys think that Big Ben is going to be your savior this year? Come on. You guys, I saw literally Adam Schefter posting a tweet saying Big Ben looks lean. If he looks lean, then I'm anorexic. Come on. He is way far out of shape. Najee Harris is going to be your savior? I don't think so. Not with that offensive line. He's not. He's probably going to end up dying like Big Ben. And, dude, my man, Juju Smith-Schuster, the Browns is the Browns. That's the best you got? Yeah, we are the Browns, and we kicked your ass at the fucking playoffs. Don't let us drop 48 on you again, all right? By the time we let you guys catch up because we felt terrible about you guys, we were up 31-0, basically, and we said, ooh, maybe we should let them come back to make this kind of look like a game. Come on. And for the Cincinnati Bengals, listen, I'm not going to really trash it too hard, because you guys hold a deep place in my heart as well, because you guys are another Ohio team. And I know my man Chris talked some good things about the Browns, so I obviously have to talk some good things about the Bengals. Listen, if the Bengals could build an offensive line, they can be a great team. That's my thing. If they could build that O-line, then Joe Burrow is going to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL instantly. So, for my man Chris, just get that O-line in check, man. If you guys can get that O-line in check, you guys will be right there. I promise you. But the tragic part is that O-line. I'm sorry, I do have to trash it a little bit, but again, you guys think Jamar Chase is going to be the big man. He's going to help you guys win 8 games this season. Well, if Joe Burrow's too busy laying on his back, he can't win a game. I mean, look at the Browns' defensive line: Jadeveon Clowney, Andrew Billings, Miles Garrett, Tommy Togiai. I mean, come on. I mean, he's going to have no less than 2 seconds to get rid of the ball by the time Miles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney get to him. But then again, like I said, once the offensive line is fixed, you guys are good to go. And I can't trash you guys too hard because, like I said, you guys are my brothers from down south. And I have to we respect each other no matter what. So for the Bengals, we still love you up here.
Well, I'm loving it. Hey, great freaking stuff, man. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Hagenball. Way to stick it to him, man. I love it. That was awesome. Boy, did you light the freaking fire. I'm telling you. I love it. The Ohio teams are sticking together. Still some trash talk because it's a rivalry. And we're looking right now at that offensive line. That's actually not as bad as I thought it was, but once again, get him in check. I like that. It's a better way of putting that, Andrew. But I'll tell you what, right now, it's actually pretty funny. Because, yeah, you guys, I can't wait to talk because next up, actually, coming up in the next interview, we will be talking, and it's pretty cool because, one of them is part of iSports Radio. The other one is just, a listener and a frequent guest on 3 and Out. But we are talking in just a little bit. Well, coming up next, actually, we will be speaking with, next up, Scott Scholl. We'll be talking his Ravens. We'll talk about the Ravens, and we'll be finishing off the show with Ben Matello talking about his Steelers. I cannot wait to hear, because, of course, Ben has a show here, the Yinzer Report, so I cannot wait to see what he says about you guys. And same thing with Scott, man. Scott can get pretty fiery, so big-time Ravens fan, and Ben, I think we're going to see a lot of his competitiveness come out after hearing these. So, and of course, I just got to, stir the pot a little bit, as Taryn would say, and let them know what you guys have been saying. But, as I do on every show, let them, let the next person know what the last person said and have some fun with it. But with that said, Andrew, dude, this has been awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here today. I know it's been a crazy week for you and everything, but, dude, thanks again. I look forward to speaking with you very soon. Look forward to having you back on a primetime face-off. Maybe you and Chris can go at it again. That was a lot of fun, respectful yet rival. That was awesome. So with that said, Andrew, please let everybody know, man, where can all these diehard Browns fans find you on Twitter and, of course, your shows and everything you want to plug, man? The floor is yours.
All right, man. So for all the Browns fans who want to follow me, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Drew Hagenball. That's DrewHagenBaughh. That's my personal Twitter page. That's why I trash all the Steelers fans. So if you want to hear me trash more Steelers fans, just follow me on Twitter. It's about every single day where I have something to say about the Steelers. For my shows here on iSports Radio, the State of Ohio Sports Show, State of OHIESR, that's my Twitter page for the State of Ohio Sports Show. And then if you do love some soccer, just follow me on Twitter at SoccerSSISR. I have breaking news, and I'm actually getting ready to put some breaking news again here after this because there's something crazy going on here in American soccer. So stay tuned for that. And that's all I got.
Awesome stuff. Well, with that said, Andrew, thanks again for being a part of today's show, man. You're awesome, and we really appreciate you, man. You're the real MVP, brother. So appreciate you for being a part of this, man, for helping us out with social media coordinating and driving the Twitter group's tweets, the Twitter group tweets in there, and just everything, man, you do for us. We appreciate you, man. Thanks again. Have a wonderful rest of your day, man. Take care. God bless you and your family, and we'll talk to you very soon, man. Thanks again.
Oh, thank you, man. I can't wait to talk to you on some primetime face-off.
Anytime, brother. Take care, man. We'll see you soon.
I'll see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Mr. Andrew Hagenball. I'm loving the mutual respect in Ohio. I love it because next up, we got the 2 Ohio teams down, and next up, we are talking, of course, those next 2 teams, the Ravens and the Steelers. And, man, this is going to be pretty fun. This is exciting because, well, it's just exciting. So with that said, you guys, day number 2 had got off or is off to a great start here. Once again, you're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC week, day number 2, AFC North. Next up, we're talking to Scott Scholl and about his Ravens right after this. Don't go. Oh my gosh, I'm so tongue-tied this morning. My apologies, y'all. Don't go nowhere, y'all. We'll be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Everybody, this is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, this is gonna be fun. We already spoke with Mr. Christopher Lehman of IE Sports Radio about his Bengals, and we already spoke with Andrew Hagenbaugh about his Browns, also of IE Sports Radio. Well, guess what? We're talking to another IE Sports Radio host here. They are our third team of AFC North Day here on day number 2 of AFC week on Tuesday, July 27th. As you know, a lot of these interviews are, well, all these interviews are recorded over the weekend, so this interview is being recorded on Sunday, July 25th. I guess 2 days ago, but this is going to be fun because it's crazy. The two Ohioans, or whatever you want to call them, actually stuck together. Chris and Andrew, they met on a primetime face-off right here on IE Sports Radio last year. We brought both of them on. Now, Christopher Lehman is the co-host of A Extra Mile, talking with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Michael Ward, all things auto sports. And Andrew Hagenbaugh is a soccer guy, so he's talking all things soccer on the Soccer Scoreboard show here on IE Sports Radio, as well as talking all things Ohio on the State of Ohio Sports right here on IE Sports Radio as well. And talking to both those guys back-to-back yesterday on Saturday, the 2 interviews that you just heard back-to-back right now, it's kind of funny. They bashed each other just a little bit, but kind of stuck together. They really did stick together as Ohioans, but man, did they thrash the Steelers and the Ravens. And I cannot wait to see what our next guest here is going to say at the end of the segment for Stick It To Him, but it's going to be fun. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, bringing here, I know he's been here a few times, but I'm really glad to have him here. He's been tough to get a hold of all summer long, but the guy's a busy guy. He's a lot of places at once, and what can I say, man? He's very in demand because he's a heck of a host here at IE Sports Radio, and I'm really glad to have him here today to talk Steelers football with me, as well as to talk Pittsburgh sports every Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, you can catch him every Tuesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on IE Sports Radio with the Yinzer Report, talking all things Pittsburgh sports in the Steel City, and just overall great guy. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, welcoming diehard Steelers fan, Ben Motello. What's going on, Ben? How you doing today, man?
Thank you so much. That's quite the introduction. I love that. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it is great to have you. You're definitely one of a kind, man. You love your Pittsburgh sports like there's no tomorrow. I love it. You really get in depth with these guys and it's with these teams, and it's awesome just how much of a diehard you really are. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about last year, man. The Steelers have had some great years. and they have also had some crappy years. I mean, my goodness, last year was just, I don't know, they're good, but then they're not. It's incredible to think of how, like, wishy-washy, I don't say wishy-washy, but it's incredible. They're Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They're great this year, and then they fall off, and they're good, and they fall off, and they're great again, and they fall off. Like, it's crazy, man. So with that said, Heinz Field is iconic. I mean, you see that field on any given Sunday, any given primetime game. It's like, it just means business. Like, you see that field, and it's like, it's incredible. It's like Boston with the Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
With the arena. You know what I mean? With the TD Arena, the TD Garden. As Kobe Bryant once said, it's real. Like, when you get there, you see that green. And I think it's the same exact thing with the Steelers. You see that black and gold. It's like, yeah, it's football time. Like, the Steelers are old school, man. Like, you got one sticker on one side of the helmet, man. I mean, I know there's history there, but I'm just saying, you guys are absolutely iconic, man, in football. And it's just seeing them, year after year being good, then bad, then, I don't know, flip-flopping around. Haven't been to a Super Bowl since 2011. Of course, you guys would fall to the Packers. That was a tough one for you guys. You'd win it all in 2000.
Yeah.
That was a tough one, I know. Don't want to bring up old memories, but you'd win it all just a couple of years before that over the Seahawks in 2006. So I'm just saying, man, since then, I mean, I think Big Ben was 2 years into his career. Now he's, I mean, a very, very seasoned vet. He's been around for a while. I don't know when he's going to be calling it a career, but let's go ahead and get started with this last past season, man. So, Ben, go ahead and talk to us, brother. Tell us all about last season through the eyes of a diehard Steelers fan, man.
Oh boy, where do we start? Well, last season, we got off to that great start, and we're 11-0, feeling great going into a game against Washington. But just the games that we've won, it just felt like a roller coaster of emotions every single week. A lot of games would just come down to literally the last play of the game. Happened against Baltimore, happened against Tennessee. Even Denver gave us a run for our money. I believe that was week 2 in the season when we were really dominated them in the first half. And then Jeff Driscoll brought the Broncos back and gave us a scare. But it's just really, really unfortunate. And it seemed like we got screwed over a little bit because of a lot of the COVID situation where the Steelers didn't have a bye week last year. And then when we were supposed to play the Ravens on Thanksgiving night, ended up almost playing them almost a week later. Ended up winning that game, but still just got the short end of the stick with that. But we just fell apart. Like I said, after going 11-0, and then we play Washington. That was a horrible loss. I believe it was Buffalo after that, or 2 weeks after Washington. That was just a bad loss on the road. And Buffalo, no matter what, Buffalo always, especially now because they're a very, very good team, they always give us a good fight. They always give us a run for the Steelers' money. And then the last 2 games of the year, the Steelers almost didn't even win the AFC North. We had to pull off a second half comeback against the Chargers to be able to win the division. And then, unfortunately, the last 2 games of the season, week 17, they're just a bad loss to Cleveland. Now, going after that loss to Cleveland, honestly, my mind, and I'm sure a lot of other Steeler fans' minds were just thinking, all right, we dropped this game to Cleveland, doesn't really matter too much. We win the division. We'll see them next week at Heinz Field. Man, and right from the first snap of the game, Marquise Pouncey, the ball goes over Big Ben's head. That plays, I know it's going to live with me for a while, and that game is going to live with me for a while. And just very, very, very bad ending to what was a great start, the best start in Steelers history. Just fell right apart.
That was a bummer, man. You guys looked like absolutely dominant, and then I don't know how that happened, but just crap, man. I guess just crap happens. It is what it is. What's I'm saying, man? You guys had this imbalance recently. The Steelers are usually consistently strong, and for the last decade or so, you guys are the consistency is there, but it's not 100% there. So let's take a quick look here at. But I have faith in the organization to get. I mean, come on, man. This organization, I think it's the only organization to ever have just 3 head coaches in its history. I mean, that is impressive, man. So.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on, man. You go Chuck Noll. Okay, which is, a legend, okay? Absolute legend, okay?
Absolutely.
Then you go to the next era, Bill Cowher. Absolute.
Oh, man.
Incredible. And then you go into Mike Tomlin, he's been solid. I'm not going to say he hasn't been solid, but he hasn't quite delivered what the other two have. He hasn't got a Super Bowl, but at the end of the day, he's a pretty solid coach, but it's just, I don't know, man, that organization is very hard to manage, I can see, because the pressure of just being that third head coach, man, I don't care who you are. I mean, if you're in a history where you're not a coaching carousel every damn year, it's hard. It's very, very hard to mimic the results before, So with that said, though, let's take a quick look here at the free agency, man, because you guys, there were some key departures, some key pickups. You guys had a roller coaster, like a lot of teams this year in free agency. So let's take a look courtesy of overthecap.com. We have here Steelers, of course, keeping their franchise quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. Melvin Ingram.
Oh, yeah.
Ouch. He will he will come on over from the Chargers. That was freaking awesome. But the kick in the nuts is Bud Dupree because, man, he's amazing. Man. That's a kick, man. That's not – but then again, you're getting Ingram. So it's like you guys switch out a good player for a good player, in my opinion. But, man, to have them both would have been great. Try Turner will come on over from the Steelers. Like I said, Bud Dupree going on over to the Titans. And then you will have – a longtime Steeler, man. The man, I don't know if he was, when he was active. I do know that he was an active Army. I don't know if he was a Ranger, I think. But the guy was some kind of special forces, I think, or he's in the Army. Amazing, man. Alejandro Villanueva, great player, man. He will head on over to the Ravens, though. That's got to hurt because he's playing on the other side of, that is one of the nastiest rivalries in all of football, and it's like, oh my gosh. He could have gone anywhere else, but he's going to the enemy, man. He's going over to the Ravens. Then B.J. Finley coming over, another enemy-type swap here, coming from the Bengals to the Steelers. Mike Hilton will go to the Steelers, will go to the Bengals. You will have Tyson Alualu will actually be staying, which is awesome. Joe Haig, I don't want to butcher his name, but coming over from the Buccaneers. You'll have Miles Kilbrew coming over from the Lions to the Steelers. You guys will hold on to Juju, of course, Zach Banner, and Mason Rudolph, as well as Cassius Marsh, Cassius Marsh is a beast. So, overall, man, I'm not going to get into everybody, but there has been some big-time pickups and some big-time departures. Tell us all about it, man. Give us your thoughts. Who are your biggest pickups and drops this year, and why?
Yeah, there's obviously been some pretty big losses. You mentioned Bud Dupree, and that was devastating. From the moment we drafted Bud Dupree, I believe it was 2014 or 15. He fit the mold of what a Steelers linebacker should be and is. And Bud Dupree was all that and more. He was the sidekick of T.J. Watt. Just that duo was pretty dominant. And Bud Dupree, I think he'll only continue that success in Tennessee. I wish would have finished out, or at least got to gotten some kind of a deal done with Bud Dupree. But I wish him nothing but the best in Tennessee. That was probably the biggest loss this offseason, but definitely a lot of big ones. Juju coming back was huge. A 1-year deal for now. Maybe after this season, sign him to maybe a 2 or 3 year deal. Juju was big, getting him coming back. Mentioned Melvin Ingram. I love this signing. Especially after losing Bud Dupree, we needed someone on the edge. But Melvin Ingram signing, I absolutely love that. It's a great signing. And Try Turner as well. I love that signing because the offensive line, especially, has taken a bit of a hit this offseason, last 2 off seasons, really, with some guys retiring and then some guys getting cut. Losing Marquise Pouncey is a big loss, not only just on the field, but his off the field. His presence as a leader in that locker room, that's something that's definitely going to be missed. Pouncey gone. Dave DeCastro gone through another big loss, but I think we filled some of those holes, including the draft and free agency. Try Turner was a really good pickup. I really like that signing a lot. And then in the draft, as I mentioned, a lot of good, or a lot of holes I think will be filled with those draft picks. Especially Kendrick Green, I think as a rookie he'll have to fight for that starting center job, but I think that's his for the taking because he has the build like a Marquise Pouncey. He's that big physical type of center that can really dominate up front on the line. So I really love that we drafted Kendrick Green as Marquise Pouncey's replacement. Big shoes to fill. But again, I really love that we drafted him. Unfortunately, a lot of losses. And even recently, Vince Williams all of a sudden retiring. We let him go, then we signed him back, and then not even a day into training camp, he decided he wants to retire. So that's another loss that kind of hurts us. Vince Williams. You talk about guys who fit the mold of Steelers linebackers. I talked about Bud Dupree. Vince Williams is definitely that and more because he, the style of play that Vince Williams brings. Unfortunately, his style of play seems to be fading away from the NFL. The way he plays the game, a thumper kind of linebacker who just fills the middle, like guys in Steelers history. You think of like that, like Jack Lambert type, Jack Ham, James Harrison, James Ferrier is a good comparison. Vince Williams, the player and the person is definitely going to be missed, but I wish him all the best in retirement. A lot of losses. This offseason in particular, it just seems like, definitely one that we haven't seen in quite some time with the Steelers. This offseason definitely has been different and unique in a lot of ways, but a lot of departures, but at the same time, a lot of good acquisitions in both free agency and the draft.
Absolutely, and we're going to get right into that draft, man. So courtesy of Pro Football Talk on NBCSports.com. Yeah, man, I know you brought up a couple of these pickups, but man, Najee Harris. I mean, let's just get the elephant out of the room, man. You guys needed that guy. You guys haven't had that guy since a name that I'm pretty sure you guys don't really feel like hearing, but Le'Veon Bell. I mean, before him, I can't really know. I know that there was Bettis, which is a friggin' beast. But
oh my God, guys,
that was the bus was different. But overall, man, this was a solid solid pickup, I believe, and I think he's going to really help you guys out a lot. Pat Freiermuth, I don't butcher his name, but tight end at Penn State. Another big pickup there at tight end, or a big pickup there at tight end.
Yeah.
Kendrick Green, guard out of Illinois, solid guard. Dan Moore also, offensive tackle out of Texas A&M. I mean, overall, man, this is a pretty solid draft. I'm not going to go into everybody. I know you've already hit on some of these guys here, like talking points. But go ahead, man. Talk to us about this draft and let us know your thoughts. Give us your thoughts and opinions on how you felt you guys did as a whole, and give us your, if you'd like to, go ahead and give the Steelers a grade.
Oh man, as a whole, I think this was a very solid draft for the Steelers. Right at the top, we got our guy Najee Harris, who I'm just through the roof with excitement. I'm so excited to see him play. I cannot wait. This was the guy who we targeted him. That was our target. That was our guy, and I'm just so happy that he was there for us, and we were able to select him. That doesn't happen a lot. It's probably pretty rare that the best running back in the draft happens to fall to you at 22. I think we were. So that's 22 or 24. But yeah, that's just so happy that we were able to pick Najee Harris. Because that's our guy, and I think he'll be, the next, he is hopefully in line to be, one of the great, in line is one of the greater Steeler running backs, in a long line of them, with Franco Harris. We mentioned the bust, Jerome Bettis, and a lot of guys in between, Barry Foster. But yeah, just that's Steeler football. Running the ball and playing great defense. I think Najee Harris is definitely gonna fit that mold. And then Pat Freiermuth in the second round, I really like that pick as well. I'm a Penn State guy. That's my college team, and getting to watch Pat Freiermuth at Penn State, a great college career. I love whenever the Steelers draft Penn State guys, because getting to watch them in college and then getting to see them play for the Steelers, it's just really cool. But yeah, Pat Freiermuth, love that pick, because he's not only is he a great red zone target, but great off the line, a great run blocker, great pass block, and he'll be a great fit with Eric Ebron. It's both very good red zone targets. I really like that pick in the second round with Pat Freiermuth. And then, as I mentioned, Kendrick Green, who, the starting job is his for the taking. But really like that pick in the third round, I believe. But set to be Marquise Pouncey's replacement. As I mentioned, big shoes to fill, but I think he's definitely more than capable of doing it. Can't wait to see him play as well. But overall, I really like these picks. I think overall, we the Steelers as an organization, top to bottom, really nailed this draft. A lot of these guys are just very solid picks. Start with Najee Harris.
I agree, man. So what would you say an overall grade is for you guys this year?
An overall grade?
Yeah, for the draft.
Overall grade, honestly, I'd have to give it an A.
I agree.
I'd have to give it an A.
I agree. You guys got what you needed. And I just love it. That's been a theme so far on this week too. Getting what you need. not, getting, I like it, man. So I think Brad Buckingham said that last week. It's a checklist for him, not really a grade. It's check, check, check is what we needed, So I really feel like that's what you guys got what you needed. So with that said, man, let's take a quick look here at the Steelers depth chart. Getting close to the end of the segment here. But let's take a quick look here, man. So, courtesy of ESPN.com, you have Big Ben, of course, starting there. Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins behind him, and Joshua Dobbs. You have a pretty solid quarterback core. So I feel like the Steelers definitely learned their lesson. I think it was wasn't it a couple years ago where Big Ben got hurt, and then you guys were like losing quarterbacks like crazy. Wasn't that it?
Oh my God, yeah. And I think that was the year. We ended up signing Michael Vick, and I'm before that year, I'm thinking, right. he'll ever see the field, and then had to end up playing.
Yeah, man. I mean, you guys, it's crazy, man. But now you guys have more quarterbacks than you can handle, and I love it because, yeah, man, anything, just in case anyone does get hurt or anything happens. And, of course, now with all this crazy COVID protocol and all that, I mean, anybody, unfortunately anything happens, COVID-wise, I mean, you guys got backups there. So, good stuff. Najee Harris, Benny Snell Jr., absolute monster. I love those two in a tandem right there. And Juju, of course, we're not going to ignore him, of course, fought on USC, just saying. But Chase Claypool, solid, and Deontay Johnson. Eric Ebron, I mean, I love it. I really, you guys always usually have a solid tight end, and he's there. Derek Watt at fullback, great player. Now you have Okafor, Dotson, Green, now Try Turner, Zach Banner, solid offensive line. Look at this defense, classic 34 Steelers type defense here. Stephon Tuitt, Alualu, and Cameron Hayward, solid defensive line. Spillane, I'll butcher his name there, but Devin Bush, Ingram, of course, are just amazing. And TJ Watt there as your linebackers. I mean, such a great job. Steelers Nation is very proud, I'm sure, of that front seven. Then you look at the secondary, man. Joe Hayden, Terrell Edmonds, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Cameron Sutton. I mean, I'm not going to get too optimistic here, but my goodness, man, these Steelers look pretty ready to go again. Another solid Steelers football team. Go ahead and talk to us, Ben. Uh-oh. I think we did lose Ben there, so let's go ahead and get him back. That's been happening. I don't know, kind of weird. I don't know, some of these calls get dropped. It's just kind of weird. But we'll go ahead and get Ben back right now. But overall, these Steelers, man. Sorry about that, Ben. I know we kind of lost you there for a couple seconds, but
no problem.
We're right at the end of the segment. But with that said, Ben, let us know, man. Tell us a little bit about this roster right here, or this depth chart at least, and tell us what you think the Steelers team is capable of doing this season.
Man, as we were going through the depth chart real quick, I was just getting fired up just mentioning those names and the defense that we have.
Yes.
Yeah, I really just looking at and just hearing this roster up and down. I really have a good feeling about this team this year. We know what happened last year, and but yeah, I really am very optimistic. No matter what, I'm always optimistic about the Steelers. But this year, we have a great defense. Definitely a top 5 defense. But offensive side of the ball as well, looking very good. A lot of weapons for Big Ben, and then running game as well. Definitely going to be Najee Harris going to get a lot of touches. Definitely not going to be like years past where we've gotten away from running the football and gotten away from what is really our identity, which is running the football, playing great defense, and passing the ball when we have to with those great weapons. But yeah, I really, like I said, really am very optimistic about this team. This is when I look at it, this is a very, very good team who can, really put it together and, the sky's the limit with this team. I think this can be a special year for this team. We'll have to see, but the Steelers are a very good team.
I agree, man. So with that said, Ben, I told you earlier, the Ohioans stuck together, man. They bashed each other just a little bit, but Chris Lehman and Andrew Hagenball here of IA Sports Radio pretty much stuck together. But my goodness, the shade they threw at you guys in the Ravens. We're gonna have Scott Scholl in a little bit coming on talking Ravens after you as the final team of the AFC North. But dude, they bashed you guys, and I'm pretty sure Scott's going to have some unkind things to say as well. There are 3 other teams in this division that you don't like, and that your team doesn't like, and that definitely don't like your team. And this goes deep into the fan bases. It is a rivalry. I mean, it's all love, but then again, it's a rivalry. It's just it's a tough one. So. Tough division, and I always say you got to play defense on offense in order to be relevant in this division, because this is such a tough division, very defense-ridden division. But with that said, Ben, those 3 other teams this season, how do you think those 3 are going to do? And of course, tell us how you really feel about those other 3 teams. You can be nice and respectful, you can be mean and ugly, you can have a mixture of both. However you want to do it, Ben, stick it to them.
Oh boy, here we go. Well, I mean, right off the top, I was going to start with Baltimore, but I think we'll start with Cleveland. We know what happened last year. Lost to the playoffs, terrible loss, I'll admit. But Cleveland, a team that I really have no respect for, especially after what happened a few seasons ago, Myles Garrett, that's a pretty criminal act right there. I don't know how Cleveland fans can be happy about that and appreciate this guy. I'll admit he's a hell of a football player, but to applaud that kind of an act, it says a lot about the fan base. But yeah, Cleveland, definitely a team that they like to talk a lot of smack, especially from the fan base. Especially that they're all this great team. We have Baker Mayfield. He's going to lead us to the Super Bowl. Heard all that after they beat the Steelers last year in the playoffs. Then we know what happened against Kansas City the week after. But yeah, just a team. Obviously. Big rivals, and a team that just don't have a lot of respect for at all. Probably the same with Baltimore. I wanted Baltimore. Obviously, they're going to be the team that I hate the most. They're the Steelers' most hated rivals. But I wanted to start with Cleveland a little bit because Cleveland, they were the doormat of the league, especially for the Steelers, who stomped all over them for a decade plus, then finally grew into a little bit of a challenge for the Steelers. We'll see what happens this year, though, when the Steelers sweep Cleveland. I'm calling it right now. But yeah, they're the team that's fresh on my mind right now. Obviously, after losing to them in the playoffs, like I said, still fresh on my mind. But Baltimore, like I said, they're another team that who I just absolutely hate. Yeah, a team. Yeah, just. Yeah, I just can't stand them. So they've been the team that's been on my mind the most for really the last decade or so. All the great playoff games, but also have had their share of criminal players, guys like Ray Lewis. Yeah, didn't forget about that. Ray Rice. But yeah, the Ratbirds are definitely still the Steelers' most hated rival. They always will be. And definitely a team I have no respect for and probably never will. And then we have the Cincinnati Bengals, who, at one point a few years ago, they had a few decent seasons. They got off to an 8-0 start, 9-0 start, and then crap out at the end of the season. And the Steelers beat them in the playoffs. They had the criminal Vontez, perfect. But then, Juju got his revenge by laying him out. But yeah, the Bengals, they're they've been the doormat of the Steelers for the last decade plus as well. And they're, even though they're a division rival, I don't have a lot of respect for them either. I know it's Steelers, Browns, Steelers, Bengals, but then really Pennsylvania, Ohio, overall just rival states overall, because for college I'm a Penn State fan, Ohio State fan, Blockheads as well. But yeah, the Bengals, not only have they been the doormat of the Steelers, but now we're the doormat of the league. I know they have Joe Burrow now, and he's a very good quarterback. Unfortunately, he was hurt last year. I'm sure he'll have a good season this year, but that still won't stop the Steelers from sweeping them again as well. So here we go, Steelers.
Dude, that was amazing. Let me sound that lightning and hit that applause. Ben, that was awesome. You weighed in, man. You went in. Like, you really did. Like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. So, with that said, Ben, it's real. The rivalry is real in the AFC North, man. I mean, it's just, there's so much dislike there. It's incredible, man. So with that said, Ben, please let all these diehard Steelers fans know, man. I'm pretty sure they already know because they're tuning in here. But just in case they don't know, dude, tell everybody, where can, of course, they find you on Twitter, and where can they find your show, man?
Well, first, you can find my personal Twitter handle. It's at Ben Metello, no underscore, nothing like that. And then find my show, The Yinzer Report, on Twitter. It's at Yinzer Report, IE. And, of course, you can always listen to me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Awesome, great. It's like a true veteran, man, like you are here at IA Sports Radio. So we appreciate you. Ben, thanks again, man. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here today, man, for lending us your time. It has been awesome, and I appreciate all you do here, man, at IA Sports Radio. We're glad to have you a part of the family, the IA Sports Radio family, and just keep doing a great job, man, at the Yinzer Report. Keep it up, and we appreciate you, man. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and have a wonderful rest of your day, man. Take care, and as always, God bless, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Larry. Thank you so much for having me again.
Anytime, man. Take care, but we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Metello, great guy. Man, what a job that was. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it. We got 3 teams down in the AFC North. And, well, we're getting right back to it with one more team coming up right after this, talking Ravens football to finish off this division. Once again, you are listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. Day number 3 of AFC week. My goodness. Oh, I'm sorry. Day number 2 of AFC week right here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. And we'll get right back to the AFC North right after this.
The shores of the Puget Sound to the rushing waters of the Columbia River, stretching across the Great Cascades, And on IE Sports Radio lives the Northwest Territory Sports Show, hosted by me, Brad Buckingham. On this show, I cover all the great collegiate and professional sport teams that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. Of course, I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks, Seattle Mariners, Sounders, and even the Seattle Kraken. But I can't forget all of that is good in Oregon either. I got the Trailblazers, the Oregon Ducks, the Beavers, even the Timbers, and much, much more. You can listen to the show every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, noon to 1 p.m. Pacific on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
Welcome back, football fans. Well, you heard it already. This has been a fun show from the beginning all the way to, well, almost the end, as we have now reached the fourth and final team of the AFC North. So, you are tuned in live to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days, AFC Week right here. Day number 2 of AFC Week, AFC North Day. We talked Bengals with Chris. We talked Browns with Andrew. We talked Steelers with Ben. And, well, we have reached the fourth and final team, and we are now talking Baltimore Ravens with a super diehard that all of you are very familiar with listening to this show here on IE Sports Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in here for his up-team time. Really excited for this guy because I am nominating him this year to the IE Sports Radio Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming, of course, Mr. Show for Real himself, Scott Show. What's going on, Scott? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. No complaints. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm glad to hear that, man. And I'm doing the best I can, man. So with that said, let's get on into, well, first things first, man, congratulations on the nomination, man. I just nominated you right now.
Yeah. Hey, I was up last year, too, so let's see if we can get me up in there.
Hey, man, I would love to see you in there, man. You deserve it. You definitely deserve it. You're there when I need you for the show, and you always put on a great show here. You always do a great job, man. So I really want you to be in there, man. So here we go. Let's get on into it this year. and talk some let's get on to it for right now and talk some Ravens football. So with that said, brother, last year, not the most ideal year, but then again, lots of signs of promise, at least in my opinion, of this team moving forward. So with that said, last year, Scott, tell us, man, how about last year? What were your emotions through the entire season for those Ravens?
It was it wasn't as it was on par with what I thought was going to happen. I honestly, going into the Bills game, I didn't think we were going to be able to beat the Bills. I didn't think. I didn't think that it was going to go the way that it went, but when Tucker starts missing field goals and starts doing all that, I kind of knew that we were in for it. It was a tough night down there, but overall, I mean, the outlook on the season wasn't. I mean, Lamar got over the playoff hump. He got us a playoff win. So you kind of silenced the critics there, and we'll see if we can take it one step further this year. We got to wait. I think the offensive line's going to be much improved. So we'll just see what happens, man. It should be fun.
I like it, and you really, man. The playoff hump has been defeated, and you guys are looking better, man. So like I said, it wasn't the most ideal season because you didn't get the Lombardi, but my goodness, man, you definitely weren't a bottom feeder, and you're just getting better. I think you can build from there. So let's take a look at this offseason, man. You guys have had quite the offseason. With some interesting moves, to say the least. So, courtesy of overthecap.com, we have here some key departures and some key pickups. So the first one that's a departure, this one is a toughie, man. Matt Judon to the Patriots. That was rough also. But Juwan James, this has to be some kind of incentive because Broncos right tackle, big boy moving over to the Ravens. Also Kevin Zeitler, right guard, moving over to the Ravens. Not bad.
But Juwan James is actually going to probably not play this year.
No!
He tore his Achilles over there in Denver, and they released him because he did his weight from the facility. So they cut him, and we picked him up as kind of like a flyer. So he's actually a pretty good tackle, but again, he probably won't play this year. We signed Villanueva from the Steelers.
Yes.
That'll probably right tackle this year.
And yeah, absolutely, man. We're just getting there, man, because that is crazy to think. Earlier we talked to Ben and just, he was in disgust that of all places I told him to, of all places, he's going to go to the Ravens, but that's where he ended up, and now he's there. You guys got some pretty good players, man. Sammy Watkins coming over from the Chiefs. Sucks to hear, though, about Juwan James, but yeah, so you got Sammy Watkins coming over from the Chiefs. Matt Skura will actually head over to the Dolphins. You will have Michael Schofield going from the Panthers, of course, to the Ravens. So lots and lots of moves. DJ Fluker is now a Dolphin. That's crazy. Just all kinds of stuff. Orlando Brown, of course, we know, big-time trade. That happened earlier this year, going over to the Chiefs. So lots and lots of moves. But I'm not going to get into every one of them. But go ahead and tell us, what about you, Scott? What were your biggest departures and pickups of this offseason, and why?
Well, the biggest departure, I think the first guy you named, Matt Judon. That's going to be a tough loss, man. He wasn't a great pass rusher, but he was an all-around guy. They could really line him up everywhere. Wink really liked him a lot with how they used him and moved him around. So that'll be tough. I mean, the biggest addition to me is Zeitler. That was like one of the weakest points of the offense last year was that guard spot. So they solidified that. And in doing that, they'll be able to move Bozeman, who was the guard last year, over to center because we had problems with center just snapping the ball. I mean, getting the ball back. I mean, it was horrible last year. Like, we just kept snapping the ball over his head. That's frustrating to watch. Like, that's TV stuff. You got to be able to snap the ball back to your quarterback. So that was no fun. So. But, I think the biggest addition is definitely Zeitler at guard, and the biggest departure was definitely Judon. Because we don't have a very good pass rush to begin with, and we just lost our best pass rusher. So we'll see what happens.
No, absolutely. And, I mean, we all know the Ravens are known for that defense. But, yeah, I mean, overall, man, I mean, you got to make sure the offense is there, too. So I totally understand or the key departures and key pickups. But let's take a look here at the draft, man, because overall, this was pretty cool. You guys had quite the draft. At least that's what I want to say. Because let me take a look here. Where is that darn draft? Okay, so here we go. Courtesy of NBC, Pro Football Talk, .NBCSports.com. So let's take a look here and see. So Rashad Bateman. Okay, Hollywood's there. You're trying to add some more talent. And Rashad Bateman, solid receiver out of Minnesota. He's one of their best coming out from the Gophers, and just great stuff here. Adafe Awehi, I don't want to butcher his name either, but dude is a beast. Okay,
just go.
Yeah, he is amazing, man. Out of Penn State, just great linebacker. I can't believe he fell to 31, but he did. And of course, Scott, of course he would fall right to the Ravens because it's just the football gods. They know that defense goes to the Ravens, so of course you would pick him up. Ben Cleveland, guard out of Georgia. I like it. Brad Stevens, corner out of SMU, solid corner for the third round. And then Tylan Wallace, receiver out of Oklahoma State. I'm not going to name everybody, but you guys got a solid draft here. Go into your draft and tell us what you think. And of course, let us know if you got a grade for us.
Well, I loved it. I loved it. I loved because Bateman would have last year. If Bateman would have came out the year before last, he would have been a top probably 10 pick. Mm-hmm. He was the COVID year. It was a weird year, man. Some guys just didn't get right, and it was a weird year. So, I mean, he fell off. He didn't have the best year, but he had a pretty good year over there in Minnesota. I'm a big Ten guy, so I actually watched him destroy my turf a few times with a couple 200-yard games that he put on us. So he can definitely he's got all the tools, man. He's a 5-tool receiver. He can run routes. He's got a little bit of speed. He can tough. He can block a little bit. He can do it all. And then my favorite pick of the draft was definitely Ben Cleveland because that kid, he's a people mover, man. He's a big. I mean, he's larger than life. I actually got when they did the draft, they did a little thing down here in Baltimore, and they held a couple rookies there, and they had Tylan Wallace and Ben Cleveland, and I actually got to go up and meet him and shake his hands. And this dude's got hands. I don't think I've ever seen hands so big in my life. But he's massive, dude. He is a massive, massive guy, man. Like, seriously. So that was probably my favorite pick. But they did well, I thought. Tylan Wallace and that late was a really good pick because he may very well end up having a better rookie season than Bateman does.
Wow.
He's enough. He's just aggressive, man. He reminds me of Steve Smith Sr. Really good yak guy. He catches the ball, and once he catches it, he runs like a running back, man. He's tough to bring down. So I like that pick. I thought we had a really solid draft. I know you were raving over the Odafe pick. As long as he's got all the traits, man. Speed. He ran about a 4.3 40. And he could stop. He's a very good edge setter. But I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't come on right away, and it might take him a little bit because he's only been playing football, I think he said, for like 5 years. He hasn't been playing very long, so it's going to take him a little bit of time to get adjusted to the speed of the NFL and stuff like that. So he may not come out strong, but I expect him, week 10, 11 to start coming on a little bit. But we need him. I mean, we are going to need him because we let pretty much the top two outside linebackers walk in free agency with Yannick and Judon. So we're gonna definitely need him to step up.
I did not know that about Owe. I hope I'm not saying his name wrong, but dude, I did not know that. Well, but it's true. Look at the depth chart here. You guys run the classic 30.
He's got like I said, he's got a lot of traits that are really good for a pass rusher. But he did. I want to say he played like 2 years of high school football, and then like maybe 3 years of college. Right, started a year and then played 3 years. So he's only been playing football for like 4 or 5 years.
That's incredible. I mean, but he's definitely he's in the NFL. So that's a great and a first round pick. So awesome.
Yeah, and he's a freak. I mean, he's an athletic freak, man.
That is amazing. Well, he definitely made it. And yeah, look at the depth chart here, courtesy of ESPN.com. And, you see guys, I mean, they run the Classic 34. You see those four backers, man. Tyus Bowser, monster. LJ Fort, monster. Patrick Queen, probably one of the best young linebackers I have ever seen, ever. And then, of course, Pernell McPhee, which, I mean, there's no no introduction needed for him. I mean, I think everyone knows who that is by now and how good he is. So you're right. I don't think he's going to be seeing the field or, too much of it, that is, over these four anytime. But, I mean, hey, breaks here and there and, different units. And
he will get some burn because McPhee is an older guy who won't play, heavy snaps. So he'll definitely get some, like I said, they're going to need him. He's definitely going to be used. He's definitely going to be thrown into the fire. So they're going to see what he's got. Because instantly he's going to be able to set the edge. He'll be able to stop the run. He really will. From what their scout said, Joe Ortiz is the Ravens head scout, and from what he said, and this dude has scouted a lot of really, really, including 12 thugs, a lot of really good pass rushers. And this guy said that he is the best edge setter he's ever seen, like ever, at all his years of doing scouting. So that's
that says a lot.
That's fun because you got to do that first. I mean, as a pass rusher, you want to get the quarterback, but really first you need to learn how to set that edge.
Yes.
And stop that run. And that's Baltimore. That is what Baltimore does. Baltimore sets that edge and stops the run. And Terrell Suggs was great at both. Terrell Suggs, man, that was, he was probably a Hall of Fame football player, but he could do both. He could set the edge, and he could pin his ears back and rush the passer. So we're hoping that's what Ole is. I mean, because Ole is just way more athletic than Suggs was coming out. But, I mean, Suggs was athletic. Suggs was a running back in high school. I mean, Suggs was athletic coming out, too.
Absolutely, and I mean, that's incredible to say from this young man. He's only played 4 or 5 years of football. That's incredible. So, I mean, that's awesome, man.
No, it's crazy. It's really crazy. People play football their whole entire lives and don't get to that level. And this kid played football for, don't quote me on it, but I know it's either 4 or 5 years. He hasn't been playing very long at all. So, but you can look it up. I mean, I'm sure, like I said, it's like 4 or 5 years that he played ball. I want to say he did like his junior year and senior year of high school. Then he redshirted a year at Penn State and then played 3 years there. So I think it's been 5 years.
That's incredible. Like, that's freakishly incredible. So you guys would find that guy, like I said, that plays that good. And I mean, that's amazing, man. And you guys have solid. Now look at the rest of the defense. That defensive line, Derek Wolfe, solid monster. Brandon Williams and Calais Campbell. I love this defense. This defensive line. I mean,
the people eaters down there, man. That's how Ravens. That's always had a Ravens defensive design. You got six screens in the middle there to tie up. Them that center and that guard to try to stop them from getting off onto a linebacker. So the Ravens have always had undersized linebackers. Patrick Queen's undersized.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis undersized. Darnell Ellerby was undersized. I mean, we've always had undersized linebackers. Actually, the only one that was probably Mosley. And Mosley was still he wasn't a huge guy. And so we always need, in a 3-4 defense, big to have that D tackle that is a people eater, that just can't be moved. And he is great at that. He anchors in, man, you can't move him. And he gets thin, man. He gets for a big dude. He's very athletic. He gets thin. I'm hoping Calais was a disappointment last year. He got COVID with the whole COVID thing. He got COVID. And then he had a calf strain issue that he was dealing with. So he wasn't really healthy. I'm just hoping that this year he can find some health and just give us some time. Because, you name these guys, but the guy that I like a lot is Justin Matabuke. And, Mad Boogie's got some moves down there, and he's a horse, man. And he will take some of the load off Calais, so hopefully Calais will be fresher and get a little bit more out of his legs. Because, like I said, this kid, Matabuke, I like to call him Mad Boogie because his last name's pretty hard to pronounce. Matabuke, man, he's a stud down there, man. He's got some tools. So, like I said, they'll split off with them too. And I really like what on the defensive side, we talk a lot about defensive ball in North. So on the defensive side, they got, the best. Yeah, if you're asking me, they got the best corner tandem in the North. You got Marcus Peters and you got Marlon Humphrey. The safeties got a little bit left to be desired. I like Deshaun Elliott. Kid is a missile. I like Chuck Clark, but they're not ball hawks. They will get beat in the pass game, but they're very good against the run. And Elliott is just he closes space pretty quick. The pass rush is going to be the main thing, man. Is getting to the quarterback. So, like I said, we'll see, man. I'm excited. Football is right. I'm so excited. I can't wait, man.
You and me both.
Run through a wall right. Put the shoulder pads on and run through a wall right now.
Yeah, right. Might as well. I'm telling you, that's how it feels, man. It's incredible to look at these guys. You're absolutely right. Don't forget, you guys got Jelly behind Brandon Williams, man. Justin Ellis is there. I mean, just what you guys got is amazing. And you're right, that secondary, man. Marlon Humphrey, Chuck Clark, Deshaun Elliott, and Marcus Peters. Gosh damn it. I mean, really. I mean, it's amazing. Okay.
Asked earlier, and we didn't even bring up. So Stevens is probably going to be moved to safety. They like him at safety. If I drafted him, very athletic. But they got Sean Wade from Ohio State. You ever heard of that guy before? Sean Wade would have probably been a first-round pick if it wasn't for he had a bad year last year. But his junior year, man, he was great, dude. He was like one of the best corners in the Big Ten. And they got him late. So we're loaded at cornerback. We are absolutely. You got Tavon Young coming back. At slot corner. You got Jimmy Smith coming back. I mean, dude, that secondary with Jimmy Smith and Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Tavon Young, like, man, it's going to be tough. Slim Pickens passing on us, I really do think.
I'm looking at the depth chart right now, and it amazes me. There's a young man who I think is absolutely insanely good. And I cannot believe that he is so far back. I mean, this guy can get you some trade value. Shoot, we'll take him on the Raiders. But Anthony Everett from Alabama, man, I can't believe it.
Yeah, he's good too, man. He came in last year when we were dealing with the COVID and all that. Remember, we played that game against Pittsburgh. We had all them dudes out, and he played against Pittsburgh, man. He played great. He's not very good in the slot, but outside, he is a very, very, very good outside corner. He's got the quick. He knows how to get his head turned around the ball. He's got the instincts. I like him, man. So, like I said, dude, that secondary is just loaded, man. It is loaded. And you got to have that nowadays in this time and age with these quarterbacks that are throwing, 40, 45 times a game, man. You got to be able to stop the pass. It used to be you got to be able to stop the run, but you got to be able to stop the pass nowadays. So, they know what they're doing. I have a lot of faith in them guys. Eric Costa, man, he is just that dude's a wizard. It was like he just picked up right where Ozzie left off,
Oh, absolutely, man. And we haven't even gotten to the offense, Scott. So I mean, look at this: Lamar Jackson, awesome. Okay, Trace McSorley. We still haven't really seen him as a starter, of course. But since Lamar's there, he probably won't be. But another very mobile quarterback.
I like the other one. I don't know if McSorley will even be on the starting on. He might be practice squad. I like that kid.
Tyler Huntley.
There it is, Huntley. He played well last year. What the little time he did get it in, he's a lot like Lamar. He ain't as fast as Lamar, but he can run the ball. He's got the speed. He can throw a little bit. I like him. I mean, I think that'll probably end up being our backup. I think we like him a lot, too. So I think, and he's more like Lamar than Trace is. I like Trace, but I just think this kid, we can throw him in, and we don't got to change the offense at all.
And that's incredible, man. I mean, look at this. You got J.K. Dobbins, awesome there. Your wide receivers, Marquise Brown, Sammy Watkins, and Rashad Bateman. But let's not forget Miles Boykin. Let's not forget Devin Duvernay. And Duvernay, he was a beast at Texas. So it's like you guys have some.
Good, man. He's good. I like Duvernay. And then we got Tylan Wallace, too. So we definitely got some more weapons to play with in the pass game. But, man, they're saying the word out of camp is that Lamar is going to be on their center a lot more this year. They're trying to get him on their center to utilize. Because here's the thing, when he's playing out a pistol and we're not rolling him out a whole lot, we're not doing a whole lot of that, you're really taking away from what Lamar can do. Because when you roll him out, Now it's 11 on 11.
Yes.
It's 11 on football, man. Someone's got to follow them. So now everyone's single coverage. It's 11 on 11. Like, I mean, they're going to put him on the center more. They should put him on the center more because he did it at Louisville. I mean, he played on the center at Louisville. He can do it. Just got to let him do it. They're going to have a lot more play action stuff, a lot more boosts and stuff like that, and they should. It's like, I don't understand why they don't do more of that ever. Like, Lamar can throw. Man, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody throw a football as good as Lamar Jackson on the run. When this kid's rolling to the left or rolling to the right, this kid, I mean, he had a pass against Cleveland last year, and I'm a football nerd, so I watched film, and I've watched the pass probably 50 times. And it was to Mark Andrews. He's rolling left. He's throwing left. And, I mean, he just put the ball in between two guys and Mark Andrews right in his hands. And there's probably two dudes in the league that can make that throw, Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes. You got to let this kid get out on the run and move. He's way better throwing on the run than what they allow him to do. They've got to open it up more for him, I think. They got to give him the keys. Like, hey, look, it's time. And it is time. It's time to give this kid the keys and see what he can do. You got Watkins, who I wasn't thrilled with it. I mean, they tried getting other guys. They tried getting Juju. He didn't want to come and play in this offense. And receivers aren't going to want to come play this offense until we prove that we can throw. We were dead last in passing last year. No receiver wants to come and block, man. They want to come and catch balls. They want to come. And Lamar will bring that. Lamar's got that trait to where he's going to bring dudes to him and elevate guys around him and make dudes want to come to Baltimore. It's not a Lamar Jackson thing. These receivers are looking like, damn, I'd love to play with that kid if they open the offense up. So it's just, maybe let's open the offense up. Let's try to get like top 15-ish in passing. We ain't got to be a top 10 passing offense. We're going to be a top 5 rushing offense. So we don't need to be top 10. If we can be mediocre, 15th, 14th in the league in passing, instead of 32nd, dead last, we should be all right.
I agree. And that's going to help a lot with these big boys up front, man. I'm taking a look right now at here. Of course, we've got Mark Andrews. Can't forget him at tight end, but then Patrick Ricard at fullback. But look at these 5 big boys, man. Ronnie Stanley out of Notre Dame. Amazing. Okay, he's playing left tackle. Really good athlete. Okay. You mentioned Ben Cleveland, okay? It's giant, okay? Big boy there, of course, coming out of Georgia. Really, really seems solid. Bradley Bozeman, Alabama. I mean, we've seen this guy is a championship caliber player. Now Kevin Zeitler out of Wisconsin, okay? Solid guard. And now you add Alejandro Villanueva to the freaking to the mix now. I mean, 6'9", 277 pounds. This offensive line is nice.
Yep. Yeah, man. Hey, we had to do it. You see, I mean, in that Buffalo game last year, Buffalo wasn't a good defense. They weren't a good pass rushing defense. Man, they were in Lamar's face constantly. It was just like, man, it was bad. It was tough to watch. I think that Eric Acosta saw it and was like, look, we got to get stronger up front. We got to be stronger up front. We got to give this dude time to throw the ball, because when you give him time, he does his job. And again, Lamar is he's a generational talent. And when you have a talent like that, you cannot. I feel as though our offense is what's holding him back at this point. We got to give him the keys to the offense and take a step back and be like, Lamar, do your thing. Like, let him do his thing. I think that sometimes they try to get too cute.
Yes.
And we can run the ball at anybody, but in the playoffs, it always used to be, play good defense and run the ball. You got to be able to throw the ball too, though. And we couldn't find a passing game last year in the playoffs, and it's a shame because we got the roster to make some serious noise in those playoffs, but You got to have offensive line play. You got to have defensive line play. People don't realize how key that is in the trenches, man. There's not a lot of household names on offensive and defensive line, but not a lot of superstars. They're not really considered skill positions, but that means the most in football. You got to be strong up front on both ends, and if not, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. So you got to be strong in the trenches, man. And I think they really looked back and was like, look, the offensive line can be way better. It can be way better, and it was good for him his MVP year. We had a really good line his MVP year, and you saw what happened. He won an MVP unanimously, and no one's ever done that before. One guy has done that before. You know, he's the best quarterback to ever live. So, I mean, Tom Brady, and he's the only other one to do it. It's Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson. So you got to, like I said, you got to let the kids get back there. But I think they were kind of scared last year to let them get back in the pocket because, you know, Ronnie Stanley got hurt early on. Mm-hmm. And I think they kind of knew the line was just not going to hold up for him to be dropping back, you know, 30, 35 times a game. He was just going to get hit a lot. And you got to protect you got to protect this kid, you know. He's already running the ball a lot, so he's already taken more hits than what most quarterbacks do in 4 or 5 years, you know, in 1 year. So they gotta protect him, and we'll see. I'm excited, man. I think the offensive line is probably going to be the biggest improvement. Or it's either going to be offensive line or the receiving core. We'll see. We'll see. Because the receiving core has definitely got some flash to it now. So
I'm loving it, man, and great football talk as always. Now I'm loving the analysis. So, final topic of the day, or final segment of the day. This one's going to be fun because check this out, Scott. So we have our two hosts here at IE Sport. Actually, everybody but you, man. I mean, shoot, I know you don't. It's hard to have the time, brother. But man, I wish you'd do our DMV show. But the other three, we're all hosts. We have Christopher Lehman. He is a Bengals fan and host of The Extra Mile here at IE Sports Radio. He's co-host along with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Michael Ward talking auto sports every Thursday. We have Andrew Hagenbaugh, which is...
Yeah, I know Andrew. Yeah, I've talked with him a few times.
Awesome stuff there. Browns fan, of course, hosting the State of Ohio Sports and, of course, the Soccer Scoreboard Show, big soccer guy. And then Ben Matello, he is host of the Yinza Report here on IE Sports Radio, Pittsburgh show. And it's kind of funny because the same thing I told Ben, Christopher and Andrew really, they bashed each other a little bit, each other's teams, but then they kind of stuck together as Ohioans. I guess that's what you call them, like Ohioans. But they absolutely bashed the Steelers and the Ravens. And I told Ben, and Ben just went in on everybody, including you guys, because, of course, you know.
Here's the thing about that. They can go in, but we know who the bigger brothers are. It's been Pittsburgh and Baltimore for as long as I've been alive, pretty much. Cincinnati's had a few, and now Cleveland fans, after that one good year they had, they're running wild, man. And guess what? They still can't beat Baltimore. They have fun with that, but they still can't beat Baltimore. We beat them twice last year, and we beat Cincinnati twice last year. I made the mistake. Last year we got on the show, Larry, and I said that the Steelers would finish last place, and they ended up starting the season 11-0. So I'm not doing that again, and I won't do that again. I really think it's going to be a 3-team divisional race. I don't think Cincinnati's ready yet. They gotta show me something. They gotta show me something. Cleveland showed me a little bit last year, so I think they definitely they definitely have a shot. I think it's a three-team race, but I mean, until one of them Ohio teams get a Lombardi, I don't think they can say that they're up there on our level yet. They're not. They're not. I do respect what Cleveland's doing. You know, but Cincy's tough, man. Cincy's they don't even have an indoor training facility. Like, what are we even doing?
That's harsh. Well, I'll tell you what. I was going to say, I mean, hey, let everybody know you think they're going to do the season. Of course, stick it to them because that's a segment. But Scott, you're ahead of the ball, brother. You already stuck it to them, and I love it, man. You gave a great analysis of the entire division, what you think they're going to do. 3-team race seems about right. Yeah, you guys last year 11-0 start. Or no, I'm sorry. The Steelers 11-0 start. I don't know why I said you have to. I don't know. I was thinking about Ben earlier. They went 11-0.
So on this very show. And it was the same segment that we did, and I said the Steelers would probably finish last place. And like I said, they came out and they rolled. They rolled off 11 in a row, and I was like, oh shit! Like, I was definitely taken back by that. They're not. It's the Steelers, man. And as much as I want to say they're going to be bad, they're always. It's the Steelers. They're gonna win football games. That's kind of just what they do, man. It's frustrating. You always think they're going to be bad, and then it's like, nope, not this year. So. And that kid they got running the ball is going to be a complete stud, so that'll be fun seeing him twice a year. Because Najee Harris is he's legit, man.
No, it is. Yeah, I love it, man. Lots of respect here, and great stuff as always, Scott. So with that said, brother, let everybody know, man.
Larry,
what's that?
If you get me a co-host, man, I can definitely make that happen. I don't know if I can do it by myself, man.
Well, I'm telling you, man, I think you could. I think it's just so hard to find somebody else to actually do the show. Is what's so hard.
It's hard. Like I don't. Man, sports are fun, man. I mean, the Orioles suck though, but I mean, we'll get there. But all right, man, it was fun talking, man. It was fun.
Man.
I always have every time we do it, and if I can get some more free time on my hands, I will definitely be the straight up host. But again, it's right now it's got with work picking back up and everything. It's been a long like few months. So
absolutely, brother. No, I get you, man. And regardless, man, it's always an honor having you on. And if we get that show up, hopefully we can get a host for it, man. But with that said, brother, let all these die-hard Ravens fans know where to find you, man.
Hey, it's going to be Facebook. It's just my name, Scott Scholl. And then on the Twitter handle, it's at Scholl for real. Follow me. It's all, I talk all sports, the Olympics. I mean, it's just fun right now. Training camp starting back up. We got a lot of fun stuff going on. But yeah, man, anytime you need me, man, just give me a little message, little holler, and I got you, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you, Scott. Thanks again for everything, man. Take care. God bless you and your family. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, brother, and I'll talk to you soon, man. We'll have you back on the show soon.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
All right, take care, brother. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Scott Scholl, man, just laying it down. I love it. Him and I can talk football for hours, man. I love it. He was kind of a lot in his mind. I love how he just poured it out on this show, man. So great stuff there talking football, and there you have it. So with that said, y'all, there you have it for the AFC North. Finishing up this show here today. When we get back, I will give you my final weigh-in, of course, who I think will win this division and go from fourth all the way to first and let you know who I think's doing what and who's going where. So with that said, y'all, sit tight. You're listening to 3 and Out, 8 divisions in 8 days. AFC week, day number 2, the conclusion right here of day number 2. AFC North Day right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS? Well, then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it. You most certainly don't want to miss it. My goodness, you guys, what a show. Man, that was fun. I just want to say thank you to everybody who was part of this thing, man. I mean, you guys had fun today? Was that fun? Because I certainly had a lot of fun recording all those interviews, and without a doubt, thank you to in the chat room, man. By the way, Andrew Agenball, amazing stuff. Your comment there, thanks, brother. Yeah, man, I try. We try. That was a really fun segment. A really fun show, and just what a freaking day, right? So as you can see, these were good, long, meaty, beefy interviews with lots of content and opinions, strong opinions. We definitely got some strong opinions today. I even saw some craziness going on in the chat room earlier. Man, it's fiery stuff, you guys. Going back and forth, of course, big ups to Matt Hams in the chat room earlier. And of course, Andrew and everybody, man, Taryn. Everyone's been a part of the chat room. It has been awesome. So, with that said, you guys, man, I cannot thank you all enough for being on today's show. To everybody, and just wow, freaking wow. I mean, can we get an applause for everybody once again? Oh my God. Awesome stuff to everybody, and really appreciate you all for listening and tuning in. So, with that said, we got a few things to get to before we're out of here. We only got about 12 minutes here, which of course I think that's great because it left us with plenty of time. We guess we'll have a little bit of time, but I'm going to run through this. I guess post up the voting poll on 3 and Out on the iSports Radio account. So go ahead and go over there, cast your vote for your best Stick It To 'em segment, your best trash talker of the day, and of course, make sure you are casting your vote on the iSports Radio account for who you think is going to win the AFC North this year. So with that said, y'all see a quick and dirty, y'all. I'll tell you, and yeah, Darren says, yeah, it was fun indeed. It was great to see Matt Hames in the chat room. Absolutely, man. Always great seeing Matt, Steelers fan, of course. So, let's do this. Let's take a look at all of these teams and see who's doing what, or at least what I think, all right? So, at the end of the day, not a bad conference. I mean, overall, this is strong. We got a lot of very good teams. We got a few very good teams and a few teams that are just like so freaking close to being good. It's incredible how close all these teams are. Because once again, I mean, we can even look at the Bengals and say that's a great place to start. But man, I mean, we talked about the depth chart already. We talked about that with the Bengals, and not bad. Okay, Jonah Williams, Suafilo, Hopkins, Jackson Carman, and Riley Reef. That's actually not that bad, you guys. I mean, I've been bashed this offensive line as well, but my goodness, it's actually pretty solid. Not the greatest, but solid. So how well can this offensive line really take them? Okay, and we'll find out. But defensive-wise, we talked about the defense earlier, and I just love it. I mean, the pickup of Awuzie was huge, and Larry Ogunjobi is a monster. I mean, just having these guys there. Overall, I think this is a pretty solid defense over there, because I can't get too much into depth because we only got about 10 minutes left here. But overall, you guys, not too bad with the Bengals, okay? They have their ups and downs. More downs, I think, than up, because they do have some rebuilding to do, but they're not as bad as I think people would say, including myself, after taking a look at this offensive line, okay? After that, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Or let's take a look at the Cleveland Browns, okay? Cleveland. Cleveland is definitely a team that's going to be picked a lot because of the turnaround they've made. And why not? They have really come into their own. Baker Mayfield has proven to be that champion that everyone wants on this team. That quarterback with that chip on his shoulder that just has, that just wants it. And gosh dang it, man. I really can't say too much about this Browns team in a derogatory way, in a negative way whatsoever. Beckham's coming back. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Landry, Higgins, my gosh. I mean, seriously, Andrew and all of his Browns friends, okay, all the dog pound, have been waiting for this, you guys. And seeing the Browns relevant is nice. It really is. All right. So, going in over to the defense, it's just nasty. I mean, seriously. Taki, the guy is still a beast. I mean, really, okay? Clowney, maybe this is the place where he belongs and can really make things happen. And Garrett, Jackson, Billings. I mean, this defensive line is nasty. You heard me say it before. I think this team is about as, not going to say complete team, 100%, but my gosh, out of the entire AFC North, they look like they should be near the top of most complete. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben, still kicking. Najee Harris is really going to make things happen over there. This defensive line, offensive line, they're strong. I won't call them elite, but they're strong. That could be an issue overall. But we'll see, okay? But overall, the Steelers' defense, offensive line, Steelers' offense, pretty solid. Chase Claypool, the young man, I think his second year, not too bad. Him in as well as Smith-Schuster, you know what? Big UFC fan right here, fight on. I love what they got going. I really do. Because they have a foundation for a very strong team. Now, is it complete? Is it where it needs to be? I mean, a few more stud offensive linemen in there, and this offense looks to be pretty legit, okay? Losing Villanueva was hard, and it's just the way it is, though. It's football. So, defensively, I love it. Tuitt, Alualu, Hayward, yes, okay? You have a good linebacker core, a pretty solid secondary. You know what? The Steelers can compete. Last year they went 11-0. They can definitely compete, okay? Didn't lose too many guys, but I just feel like this year, they're gonna prove that they're still not gonna be a bottom feeder. That's all there is to it. I think this team is still gonna be competitive. Let the right mixture happen for them, and injuries, of course, to stay away from them as much as possible, which is hard to ask for in football, but the Steelers will be competitive. Again. Then there was the Ravens. Lamar Jackson. I heard more criticism about him in these last couple interviews than I've heard ever. And you know what? Give the guy a chance. I mean, he's proven to be solid. He's proven to be an NFL quarterback. I know some people will say durability issues, but the guy, he made it, man. So whether he makes it however long, it is what it is, really. I mean, it's really hard to say that Lamar Jackson is going to be the elite of quarterbacks, at least the next couple of years, if he can turn into that Michael Vick type player. But overall, you guys, he's solid. Now, when it comes to this offensive line, Villanueva, of course, gigantic pickup. Stanley, I like it. I think they're a little more complete than the other offensive lines here. But then again, we take a look at this defense, and we see how stacked they really are. Wolf, Williams, Campbell. Yes, that's a great defensive line. A lot like the Steelers with their complete defensive line, okay? Linebacker core. I like it. Queen, McPhee, you know what they got? They got their few backers who are solid. Depth? Nah, I'm not too sure about that. And then the secondary, which, they're pretty legit. Marcus Peters, you see that? Yes. Overall, this is seriously the hardest division for me to pick. I'm serious, you guys. Out of all divisions in the NFL, this one is going to be the hardest for me because, gosh dang it, they're so freaking close together. Now, I'm sure some people are going to get pissed off at me in the next couple of seconds, and this is how it goes. So welcome again to Mr. Matt Hames in the chat room. Yes, glad to have back. He says, Big Ben runs the North. Lamar still can't throw. Browns are delusional. Browns fans are delusional, and the Bengals are just the Bengals. Well, spoken as a true diehard. But let the truth be told, the Bengals are, well, will they pull a Bengals this year? We'll see. We'll find out. Will the Steelers be that top-notch team? They have the pieces to do it, so I'm not going to argue that. Are the Ravens elite enough to actually get further, to actually get to an AFC championship? That's questionable, but damn it, they got some pieces that are solid. And then there were the Browns that aren't little brother no more. They're not. They're just not. I'll go heads up with anybody about that. They're not. They're solid. They've proven it. Okay? So, let's take a look here at this close division, at least for what I'm feeling, okay? All thoughts are my own. You're welcome to disagree. All good. So, everybody who voted, thank you everybody who voted in the IE Sports Radio, or for the IE Sports Radio voting poll. 54% of you are taking the freaking Browns. Nice. Okay. 21% of you are taking the Steelers. 14% of you are taking the Bengals, and 11% of you are taking the Ravens. Wow, didn't think they'd finish last. That's crazy. And then, of course, a Trash Talking Award. Let's take a look and see who you guys think won Trash Talking. Andrew has only a couple of votes, so yes, Andrew will win it. So good job to you, Andrew. I'll tell you right now, this division is going to be very, very close, and this is the way I'm going to say it and the way I see it. So, like I said, fully 100% okay to disagree, but there's a hard line between a couple of these teams that I feel are going to be, I don't know, there's a hard line between a couple of these teams where we definitely know where some teams are just a slightly bit better, and that's all there is to it, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, I think you all know what time it is. It's about that time to cue the music, because we're out of here! Alright, y'all. First things first, the Bengals. Offensive line. They're not the worst, but we got to see them perform. Same as that thing I said with Carson Wentz. I want to see them perform for the Colts. Well, I want to see this offensive line perform. Until then, I'm going to throw them in the basement. I think they can still win. Even if the offensive line gets in shape, even if the offensive line gets in pretty decent shape, okay? Guess what? I still think that this offensive line is, I don't know, they got to be proven. So I'm going to give them between, even if they get in shape, I'm going to give them, or, get to where they can actually be relevant, between 6 and 8 wins for right now. That's just all there is to it, but they're getting better, okay? They're getting better. After that, next up in third place, and this is hard for me because, damn it, I want to put these guys in second, but I can't, because seriously, the other two teams are just freakish. Next up, the Baltimore Ravens. I know this is hard for me because I think they can win between 7 and 9, maybe 10 games if that defense can stay healthy. Offense is still going to need some work, but Josh Allen is solid. I'll tell you right now, this is honestly hard for me to say, but the Ravens, I think, will be stepping a little bit backwards. I got them third. Next up, you guys, I have to go, and what's going to say between 7 to 10 wins more, depending on what's going on. Next up, this is tough. This will be a battle. It may even be a Week 18 battle. Everyone knows I can't stand the freaking 17-game season. It's disgusting. Sorry. Anyway, 17 games. What do you freaking do? But I think it might come down to that Week 18 game where we see these two duke it out. Overall, you guys, as hard as this is to say, the Steelers are still a beastly team, but I got the Browns winning by 1 game this division. They haven't. I think they can win by 1 or 2 games, maybe win the most. The Steelers are still going to the playoffs, I think. I seriously think so. If the Steelers win it, then they definitely earned it. They can. But I got the Steelers and the Browns together between 10 to possibly 13 wins. Do not count out Big Ben. Don't do it. And do not count out these Browns. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say Steelers, I'm going to say, if anything, if I can get the 1 game difference, Steelers between 10 and 12, Browns between 11 and 13. That's it. And guess what? If they flip-flop, then that's it. These two teams are dominant. The other two teams are still in the hunt. I know they can do it. It's just who's going to go where. So, with that said, y'all, that's going to do it for today's show. My goodness, what a show it was. Thank you to everybody who was on today's show. That does it for day number 6. Day number 7 is coming up tomorrow. Right here on 3 and Out, 8 Division Day Days, AFC Week. Talking AFC West. Coming at you tomorrow, y'all. This is your boy Larry B signing off. I will see y'all next week. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, take care. And as always, God bless.